Good morning. Welcome to Castle Motorsports Park. This is the CKNA Spring Nationals, Summer Nationals, Winter Nationals, finale of them all, the biggest of them all. It's the CKNA Grand Nationals. It's main event Sunday. My name's Xander Clemens, alongside me, Caleb Viesca, Tony the Toe Cirillo, Dave McIntyre, and the rest of our on-air team here for Cup Cars North American Kart Chasers Collaboration are ready to bring you the action as the last chance qualifier practice sessions are getting underway. For those that are in the pits, of course, make sure to let your friends and family know that while the main events will be exclusive to KC Premium members, the last chance qualifier warm-ups, the last chance qualifier races, and the main event warm-ups will all be free to view. Everything from now until noon Eastern time. You can share and show exactly what you do to friends, to family, to anyone at school, at work, at home. Show why you've been spending the last 4 days here or more in Newcastle, Indiana. Over 635 entries, over 525 unique drivers, and after 3 full days, including 15 hours of continuous track activity yesterday, Caleb, it has all led us to this Championship Sunday.
Yeah, it's all kind of led us to this point here this weekend. And again, you said it yesterday, 15 hours. A huge shout out to the entire Cup Carts North America team that was hard at work. A huge shout out to our entire production crew as well. And a huge shout out to all the teams that were in there in the paddock. Were here until about just past midnight. They were here for 24, I shouldn't say 15 hours plus 16 hours almost. Arriving here at 7 a.m. when the gates open and staying here even after that, past midnight into 1 a.m. So it was great to see all the action kind of boil over yesterday, and a couple of big names as well that we're going to see hit the racetrack here in a couple of moments for the LCQ Warm-Ups. A couple of notables that we've talked about already this weekend. Xander Aiden Rudolph finds himself in the Senior Light Ace LCQ, as well as Jared Clark, the driver who qualified second overall out of 100-plus drivers, is going to be in the LCQ. A couple of more as well. Ben Gaunt was a driver that we talked about. He's starting 47th in the LCQ, and we don't have an official number yet on how many are going to transfer, but we'll see how it all plays out here on Championship Sunday from Castle Motorsports Park.
On the grid is another group ready to go. This, I believe, will be the senior light class, and there's a couple of big names that unfortunately did not automatically go to the main event, including our second place qualifier, Jared Clark, on the number 16 BJR PPK Coyote, Ian Quinn, as well out of the Steel Motorsports camp. Ian's going to be starting, I think, potentially as high as inside the first 5 rows in the 60 driver senior medium main event. But that's just how the cookie crumbles here when it comes to the Grand Nats. Yes, you can have speed, but you need a perfect run through every single session from the moment the green flag drops in qualifying through all 3 heat races to give yourself a fighting chance on Sunday. Otherwise, you're going to have to wake up bright and early like these drivers and go to the last chance qualifier. This is their last chance to dial in the go-karts for the last chance qualifier. A quick round of 4 total warm-up sessions, a short break for the drivers and teams to be able to prep the go-karts, and then it is time for 4 last chance qualifier races, and only 4 tickets remain to the big dance, Caleb. Some classes like senior light, over 115 pre-entries, over 110 have made the trek to the racetrack, and sadly only 60 of them get to take the green flag this afternoon.
Yeah, that shows you how hard it is to come out here on any given weekend, this weekend especially, to win this coveted trophy here in for cycle racing. And a lot of drivers as well. A couple of drivers who have been strong earlier on this year. Matthew Winfrey with the Cole Nelson Racing Invader machine. He had issues as well yesterday throughout the heat races. He finds himself in this LCQ as well some of the Prime Power team, Brell Art Steel Motorsports machines that are right there. So we'll see how it all kind of unfolds as this day goes on. But you already see a little bit of racing going on early on in the morning warm-up sessions as we follow along with all these drivers. And again, we'll check in with some of the superstars that find themselves in this race.
No doubt. There's quite a few big names in this one. We'll also, of course, pull up the live timing and scoring for all of you watching along at home to be able to keep a tab on how your drivers are faring in the one and only practice session they're going to get. There's going to be 53 total drivers in this senior light last chance qualifier. That's a lot of names that'll be in this one. So with all that said, again, this is still only Group 2 of the practice sessions in the morning. You've got some time if you're trying to get ready to go, and make sure that you're dialed in But here we are as they work their way out of I-70 and should be coming to put at least the first lap at speed for us to be able to get a read on them. Leading the way is going to be one of the 40-plus Mark Steele Motorsports entries. And right off the bat, we got one of the invaders that's pulled off onto the access road.
Winfrey.
Matt Winfrey, the Californian, has an issue here in warm-up.
Yeah, Matthew Winfrey took the pit lane that we used in yesterday's senior showdown and in yesterday's event. So you see him pass by our camera there in turn number 1. So unfortunate for Winfrey, and especially when you're trying to dial in the go-kart, you're trying to dial yourself in as well. And you want to race your way into the main event here. He's going to be left scratching his head after that. That's not at all how you want to start the morning. We're talking about a couple of drivers, one driver in the out-of-the-box challenge that emerged in the lead there for a second, and then a fellow chassis team member in Cameron Reed came away with it. Aiden Rudolph finds himself in this LCQ as well. He had a pretty good showing yesterday, but in the last heat race, he pretty much couldn't get past the first 5 corners, couldn't get past the I-70 hairpin either. Got collected in that first lap crash, and Rudolph since then kind of fell down the order, and now today we'll see how he ends up in the senior light race. He has qualified into the senior medium race, but he's going to have to try and race his way into the big show on his first showing at Cup Karts North America for the Grand National Championship. So we'll see how it all plays out here for Rudolph.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200 from Acceleration Kart Racing's website?
That's because AKR gives you free shipping on orders of $200 or more within the continental US.
Okay, but I thought you were just getting a pair of gloves. That's what, 70 bucks?
But if I'm getting a new pair of gloves, I might as well get a new pair of shoes to match. And then on top of that, I'll get a neck brace because with the shipping, it's basically free.
Yeah, I do not think the math checks out on that.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free for orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Spend responsibly. Shop AKR.com.
Looking for a team with a diverse calendar? How about a team that offers both full support and teaches you and your kid how to do all the work yourself? For us at Drive Your Line Kart Sport, fostering growth on and off the track in a family environment is what we do. Well, that and bringing home some hardware. Contact us today online at dylkartsport.com. Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
Are you looking for an advantage in your competition? Well, Car Class has done the hard work for you. We've traveled to your racetracks to give you the inside knowledge. So what does Car Class offer? We've got drone footage that captures the racing lines, visual markers for your braking points, acceleration zones, and the best overtake opportunities on your racetrack. Pedal cam to show you where to brake and when to accelerate, and 360-degree footage to make sure you don't miss any parts on the racetrack. We've covered 13 racetracks in the United States, and Australia, you're up next. So visit kartclass.com to get your track information.
getting ready to go racing here for our first last chance qualifier. Senior medium onto the racetrack, and we are ready to go green. Blake Ripley on the inside, and it is Kevin McCarthy on the outside. 16 drivers have entered the last chance qualifier. Only 4 will make it to the big show. Here we go for the first of 10 laps in senior heavy, and we're underway as they cross the timing loop. Green flag in the air in the first couple of corners. Have all of the drivers that at least have made it onto the racetrack, and I believe we've only started 11 as there's contact there. Blake Ripley dropping a tire first has backed them all up, and we've got a change in the lead there. One of the invaders has slipped through to the top spot. It is none other than the 47 of Nathan Heath. Great start for Nathan.
Yeah, great start for Nathan. A great start for that entire inside line there as well. Nick Bro able to get himself up to the second spot, but again, for Blake Ripley, your pole sitter in this race, started on the inside. It kind of just all fell apart after a mistake like that, and that cost them. Nonetheless, and again, for some of the drivers that aren't racing, they're either running 2 class in the Masters classes and in the heavy class, so they're going to, again, use this as testing for that Grand National Championship that's going to come their way later on today. But on the racetrack here, everybody's still going through. A couple of moves there further back, and again, only the top 4 will transfer. So on the bubble spot here, just on the edge is Kevin McCarthy in the 411. That's the driver in the bubble. He's in the OTK Tony Kart there, just on the edge. And the 91 Croc Promotion machine looking in. Jason McDaniel, that driver in the Croc Promotion 91. On the outside, looking at a couple of moves there further back. The Castle Motorsports machine on the inside, looking to get clear, able to get it done. And that's the 935 there of Klein. Peyton Klein able to get through and up in a 5th. He's going to have his sights set on the bubble spot that McCarthy currently holds on to.
Still early, though, in this race, to be fair. Only a lap completed so far for your senior heavy drivers. And again, this is the first of 4, sorry, last chance qualifiers, where in all races here, it will be just a matter of the top 4 drivers that make it out. Nick Bro on the CRG LSR Motorsports entry. Again, Nathan Heath and the Invader, they have already gotten away. Pole sitter Blake Ripley in the 00, still hanging on. And again, as Caleb has mentioned, the bubble spot is 4th. So that is where Kevin McCarthy finds himself. And we've got contact there. Blake Ripley with an issue. Out of 3rd. Oh no, Blake Ripley. And he is frustrated. He's obviously thinking that it was on Kevin McCarthy, who I don't know if he was trying to really get into him or not, but it must have knocked the chain off.
They were both in the show at that point and then fighting for the 3rd spot almost. Just, it all fell apart for those 2 drivers in the Steel Motorsports machine there of Klein, able to get himself into the show, sits 3rd. Now on the bubble for the 411 of Kevin McCarthy. You have to think about what's going to happen after post-race investigations are concluded. But as it stands, Jason McDaniel in the Croc Promotion sits on the outside looking in.
Unbelievable scenes here in the opening stages of this senior heavy last chance qualifier. Craziness just to get the day started. And again, we're still with a lot of racing left to go in this class alone. We've got so much to talk about here for your senior heavy drivers as they work their way around the circuit right now. So again, Nathan Heath at the moment still looking strong, still looking solid on that Invader chassis here, late in the way with a close run for Nick Bro right behind there in the 012.
And Jason Scuzzi North in the VLR TS Racing machine there for the 191. Those 2 drivers of North and McDaniel look a lot quicker than Kevin McCarthy at this stage of the race, and you have to think, what sort of issues does McCarthy have after that incident? Has kind of really slowed him down, and his pace has fallen off a cliff here almost, Xander. He's losing a whole lot of time, and with McDaniel not making mistakes, continue to close down here as we get onto the main straightaway. We'll see how it goes this time by. Heath goes quickest. Nick Bro in 2nd. Peyton Klein in 3rd. McCarthy gonna fall under fire here to Kevin, to Jason McDaniel in the 5th spot. And the same goes for Jason Scuzzi North in 6th. They're not fighting all too much, trying to work together and get up to the rear bumper of the OTK.
let's give a bit of love again to the drivers that this may just be the end of the road for them. Hopefully not, of course. We'd love to have room for everyone to make it into the big show, but there's so many that unfortunately will not. And as we've stated again, with the way everything is kind of played out to get to this point in the weekend, I think some drivers have kind of given up on trying to attempt to fight their way into the race. You can see that while we do have 17 in total, 16 there that are on the listing that were slated to start this last chance qualifier. We didn't have anywhere close to that total. Only 8 actually took the green because a lot of drivers at the CKNA Grand Nationals will enter in the senior divisions 2 classes. You'll see a lot of senior heavy and masters crossover. You might see some masters and legends crossover. And well, if you're an Ironman like Owen Lloyd, you'll run 3 senior light, senior medium, senior heavy. So if they have a better shot in one division than the other, for example, David Cole in the LSR Motorsports CRG, he's showing 10th. He's not on the racetrack. The only drivers that are the ones that are showing gaps. And then, of course, the DNF there for Blake Ripley. So with that in mind, folks, we're going to go ahead and take them off, and that way you can see who all, of course, is on the racetrack at the moment. But I do believe we at least had 2 that were out on the warm-up lap and did not make it around through the end of the first lap. So I'm going to make sure that we have those drivers at least copied on over. But only 8 remain currently. And it might have been the 555 of Chris Harris, but we'll check into it for sure. Still, though, looking at the gaps. Again, for Kevin McCarthy and Jason Scuzzy North there from Bermuda. 6/10 separate them right now with still a little bit of racing left to go. We're headed this time to the line to get the 4 laps completed. 6 laps still remaining as we follow the 935 of Peyton Klein. He has been on a roll. Fastest driver on the racetrack. And already closed on in to Nick Bro, and the CRG driver feeling the pressure is now going to come under fire into the I-70 corner, down the inside for Peyton. He'll get through and take over second and continue his march forward. This will get him 1 spot higher on the starting grid for the main.
Couple of moves here further back for the transfer spot. The VLR of Scuzzy North on the inside, able to get clear. Now, Fort McCarthy dropping outside of the show here in 5th. So that Tony Kart just on the edge here. And these 2 drivers looking really equal on pace here, sorry. So we'll see what McCarthy can do here. But again, you don't want to risk what happened. You saw McCarthy already having an incident earlier on in this one and doesn't want to put himself back in a position like that.
Check out the Tony Kart there, the 411. Again, a McCarthy falling back, but this is still all okay because you've got such a healthy gap back to Jason McDaniel there in the 91. You don't need to be in a huge rush to try and get back into the safe zone, into the transfer zone. Take a minute, kind of keep yourself nice and calm, and follow Scuzzy around here because maybe you can learn a little bit if you can keep him within reach. But if at any point during this session Scuzzy starts to pull away from you, that's when you've got to pull the trigger and go right back on him. And we talked last night with Ian Quinn, obviously. You were able to chat with him there, Caleb, and he said, well, you just got to lead, man. You can't work together. There's too many hungry drivers. This is a little bit different. This is about keeping yourself within the transfer window. Forget being friends, forget anything else. If you want a chance to line up on the grid alongside 59 other drivers that consider themselves the best Brakes 206 senior heavy pilots in the country and truly in the world, you need to keep that driver in front, whoever's 4th or better, within reach. The further they get away, the further your chances of going through to the main event get away as well. But I will say, for both of them, I think they're significantly better, and they have been. If you look at the lap times, than Nick Bro, you can see that black and orange CRG. Again, another tire drop for the 012. He's fading backwards. He was nearly 7/10 slower last time by. 3rd, 4th, 5th on your screen. Closing into 4 laps to go this time by. They are also still relatively close to Peyton Klein, but he's pulling away a little bit. I think Peyton, if that pace continues, he'll be safe. Nathan Heath out front went purple. He should be safe, Caleb, but Nick Bro in the 012 Camp Chaos LSR Motorsports CRG. He is not safe. He needs to be careful right now.
Yeah, Nick is definitely falling under fire here. That gap closing down to about a kart length now. And we'll see how it goes. North being really patient here with Nick Bro, but again, Bro just found himself in no man's land for a while there after Peyton Klein was able to get away, and now you have North looking on the inside. They're going to go side by side throughout the front straightaway as well. Here comes Kevin McCarthy on the back straightaway. Bro falls back to fourth. He's now in the bubble spot. So one of the two LSR Motorsports entries in this race. Katie McDaniel being the other driver, and that was the driver that you mentioned yesterday, the 99. She actually ended up going off the racetrack in one of those heavy starts, and she pulled another driver's cord to get back going on there. So again, Katie doing what she can and giving back, but not where she'd want to be. And her teammate now falling under fire. McCarthy and Nick Bro get together. Bro's able to hold on, but getting real close here for Kevin McCarthy. Looked for a move, contact with Bro. These two going to continue to fight it out for the transfer spot.
Without a doubt, they are. They are going to be still keeping their elbows out for the next 3.5 laps, because there's not much time left at this point. Turn it all into a fight. Turn it into a battle. Give it everything you've got. This is it. This is, again, in the name, the last chance to get your way to qualify for the main event. And this race, although it has been tamed to this point, is really just a teaser trailer, if you will, Caleb, because junior, senior light, senior medium, there'll be a lot more than 16 that'll line the LCQ grid. We've only, again, started, I believe, with 10 based on everything, and only 8 completed the first lap. And then Blake Ripley, of course, had that issue 2 laps in. So of the 16, 10 went out onto the racetrack. 8 properly took the green flag and completed the opening lap. That only meant 4 drivers were going to miss it. So you end up with a typical split, and sadly lap time sometimes will be the big delta. But when we get to 20, 30, or senior light, where there's 53 that could make up the LCQ, it's going to be truly chaos. But for Camp Chaos, Nick Bro, he seems to have gotten a bit of a second wind. He's closed back up there to Jason Scuzzy North there in the VLR.
Yeah, Nick Bro doing a good job to keep himself under the bumper there of the VLR, and I'm sure Marshall Martin, Stacy Gunn, and JD Gunn all sit there on the fence line very nervous as they look on as their driver looks to get himself inside of the main event. Bro not going to fight it out too much. Actually got the chance to speak to him this morning, and he was telling me that his game plan was just not to crash in this race, and when he gets into the top 4, his plan isn't really to fight it out at all unless he has to. So he's definitely seeing the transfer spot here being solidified. He takes a look back over his shoulder. You can see McCarthy about 5 car lengths away that time around with the white flag in the air. On to play for here for the transfer spot. Nathan Heath sits safely for the Cole Nelson Racing Invaders. Peyton Klein as well in the second spot for the Steel Motorsports Group. Scuzzy North in third, holding on strong, and Nick Bro as well, pushing him along. And McCarthy on the outside, looking in here, coming into the last lap.
So apologies there. We were 1 lap off on our live timing. Got that corrected for you now. 1 to go. 2.5 out for the lead. Again, Nathan Heath has led the way for the West Coast Brigade. The Invaders, of course, we mentioned that we've got some drivers coming off of the warm-ups that'll be looking for a way to race their way in. They're probably keeping a close eye on this battle, because it is only a bit of a tease of what their race could look like. We're on the grid, senior light getting set to go, but senior heavy for the final time. 3 drivers fighting for 2 spots here to make their way in from the LCQ to the main. Scuzzy from Bermuda, Nick Bro from Camp Chaos, and then of course Kevin McCarthy from Canada on the Tony Kart. Kevin on the outside looking in. Last time to the shark fin, Caleb, as out front, Nathan Heath is headed to safely punch his ticket through, and so is Peyton Klein, who's had a nice charge up the grid on that Steel Motorsports Bureau Art. But here we are to the final hairpin for the final time.
Into the I-70 hairpin for the last time here. We've seen drag races all the way to the line here. Nick Bro pulling on the inside, looking to go on Scuzzy North. McCarthy not going to be close enough. Black and checkered in the air. Nick Bro is into the show, coming across the line in fourth. McCarthy 1 spot short. Katie McDaniel coming across to finish here 6th. And she's going to be out of it, unfortunately. But what a race here, Xander. That was really close coming across the line. And you see the pace that Nathan Heath had there in this race. And again, expect that driver to make some moves when we get into the main event. Here's your unofficial results for the LCQ pickup, getting set to come underway, and on the grid now, your senior lights.
Yes, that's right, folks. Again, the last chance qualifier for senior heavy is wrapped up. This one I don't believe will have any recoveries. They've already got one cart up and on to the vehicle, so that'll take us down to the grid for your senior light drivers, and we'll get set to bring you the starting lineup here shortly for their last chance qualifier. So once again, senior light, then we'll go into the junior class as a nice little split before we go into senior medium, the main event on the day. The second really of the two main events, truly, because senior light is just as strong, just as stacked, and going to be just as fun to watch. So senior light's last chance qualifier almost ready to go here, folks. With a look there at Cade Godby here on the VLR. He'll be ready to lead them off to green, and sadly, again, for Cade, having to go to the last chance qualifier is not what anybody wants to do, but it's part of the game here, and sadly he's going to have to fight his way into the big show.
Indeed, a couple of the other prime power machines there as well, working their way through. They're going to have to race their way into the show, and we have a big field here in this LCQ. It's anybody's game here, really, and it seems like just a normal heat race with about 30 plus in this last chance qualifier. I think it could even be more than that here this morning as well. A couple of big notables. Emily DeMaster finds herself in this LCQ here as well. 53 drivers total slated to take the green flag here in the last chance qualifier. In your grid order with Kate Gabri, Nagisa Yoshikawa, Michael Abenboye, again, another driver who we've talked about this weekend from the Steel Motorsports camp as well. Brandon Atkins, Owen McCarthy, DeMaster for the Roderick Racing Development Team. Go back to Hunter Cole, James Hatley, Aiden Rudolph starting ninth, Anthony Kazada, a big family for him, voting him in to the senior showdown yesterday. So Anthony in the Kubica machine was able to get himself in. Braggy Wainwright as well, starting 11th, Regan Kerr. Back to Matt Winfrey, who had issues in the LCQ warm-up. Levi Wilburn, the 06. Braden Hebert, Cody Lindstorm, Gavin Isaacs, a driver who was really impressive at his home track at Pittsburgh, finds himself in this LCQ. I'm pretty sure Uncle Dan is looking on and hoping that Gav can work his way into the main event. Nick Foligno, starting 18th. Jared Clark, who qualified on the front row overall, over 115 drivers, finds himself 19th in the LCQ. He just couldn't keep his nose clean throughout the races, found himself at the wrong place at the wrong time more often than not, and he's gonna have to do a lot of work to get himself into the mix here. 50 drivers total in this race. Into the tram lines we go here, Xander.
And it's not going to get the green on the first time by, so no shot at the green flag there for the drivers in the last chance qualifier. And looking at how many have crossed the timing line, looks like a good amount of the senior light drivers are wanting to get after it. I believe the total at 42, pushing 43, have at least made it out onto the racetrack to try and contend for 4 positions in this main event. So where they will exactly stack up remains to be seen, but again, it's all set off of how the points went through the heat races to this point. Again, Caleb did a great job explaining to you all again how they have lined for the first bit all the way back. We know that there's going to be a few adjustments to that because, again, just in the same way as we didn't have all of our senior heavy drivers, we don't have all of our senior light drivers either. But still, we've got at least a close run of how they will line the grid on the left side from them passing the timing loop, but we've got issues. There is one driver off to the wayside right there. Problems for one of the Bureau Arts. There's a ton of them here this weekend in the Red Army. Looks like the driver was able to fire it back up, but will they start further back? Keep your eye on a number of the big names in this division, right? Brandon Atkins here on the outside, the Atkins Speed Center, Tony Kart. Aiden Rudolph, again, goes from fighting for a KA100 Senior Championship in the Texas Regional Series, sitting on the pole in KA Senior at Supernats last year, to fighting his way out of the last chance qualifier at the CKNA Grand Nats. Again, there's so many big names that you've got to have everything go perfect that It could take anyone in or out of the show, but for 10 laps, we're going to try this one again. On the inside there in the VLR, Cade Gubby here. Nagisa Yoshikawa on the outside in the Sodi, and there it is. This time, green flag, we're racing down to turn 1.
Side by side all throughout. Looks like the top 10 were able to make it through, but 2 drivers get collected. One of the Kart Republics and one of the Burrell Art Machines out of this race early. Side by side all throughout this top 10. Poirier able to get up to 3rd. He's going to be real close to that transfer spot, and everything further back starts to heat up. One of the Coyotes looking to go here on Aiden Rudolph. One driver getting washed out wide, and Emily DeMaster, what a start for her. She's up to 5th. Made one spot up. Rudolph looking to make up another one right behind. He's up to 6th. The CRG Norton Machine going to move up himself up 3 spots here in the first couple of corners.
So Aiden Rudolph trying to get himself into the main, needs to get to 4th. There's Brandon Adkins trying to play catch back up there. Nice pass for the Adkins Speed Center entry to get to the inside and make up a position. Emily DeMaster had one heck of a run back at Pittsburgh to race her way in to a main event there. Sadly, she finds herself in similar territory today, having to fight her way through to this senior light main event. They're going to put 1 lap in the books this time by. There's a look at Emily in the number 87. First driver on the outside looking in, but they're fighting for the lead. Good battle up front as they head into the I-70 corner and out of it. Cade Godby here back to the point on the VLR, and he's going to send Nagisa Yoshikawa to the wayside. Here's DeMaster to the inside. Emily now is going to take over 4th. Rudolph looks like he'll be able to follow to 5th down in turn number 1. No, he will not. Nagisa hangs on tough there on the outside.
Yeah, Yoshikawa able to hold on there around the outside. A lot of dirt getting kicked up here in the back, and you would think this is a main event here with how desperate these drivers are kind of going at it to get themselves into this show, and they have to make moves. It's going to look a lot like last night's races, like the Senior Showdown, and like the out of the box with everything that they're going to have to work for here. And the 96,
look at how high up the berm
way
the
up
96 went up. Oh man, Reagan Kerr with a big time spin there out of turn number 4, and that'll take Reagan well beyond the transfer zone. Bummer there for Reagan Kerr.
And Yoshikawa just getting mobbed here. More and more drivers getting past the Sodi Loki Racing Machine there. Yoshikawa is down, it looks like down in 5th, 6th now. My apologies there. And more drivers continuing to make moves. One of the
is that another one of the invaders there in the number 8 moving up? That's Braden Haber out of Independence, Kentucky. Either that or the blue and yellow colors could represent the MGM trying to ID it. Oh, and an elbow from Nagisa Yoshikawa. And Yoshikawa said that's enough of the field. Didn't matter who it was. Yoshikawa was going back forward as now Rudolph gets by on the 768. Aiden Rudolph into 3rd. That'll put him in a transfer zone. Mikhail Ahmed Poirier there in the 768. Prime Power Team Burrell Art is now going to the outside of the show. The CKNA Canadian Divisional Champion, one of 3 that was locked into the showdown last night, is trying to fight a way into the main event here in Senior Light. But also, keep an eye on the young man in 10th as they fight here through the transfer spots. He's right there, center of the screen, as off the racetrack goes Yoshikawa. Jared Clark in the 16 just picked up 2 more spots. Fastest car on the racetrack. With more off there, that is Yoshikawa again.
Goodness gracious, Yoshikawa, we've said his name time and time again as Gavin Isaacs gets into the side of him. He's able to hold on to it there as well, looking to make up some spots, but Jared Clark driving like a man possessed here. He sits 10th, looking to join his PPK teammates in the main event later on today. Fastest lap of the race for him as well, 123.147 for Jared Clark, as Rudolph now goes to the lead of this race. He's able to get ahead here of McCarthy. Rudolph going to lead this field away. There was some sort of issue here for Gauber here who has disappeared from the top 4. He fell way back there. Goodness gracious.
Way back. Back to 3rd now for the VLR. He lost a lot of time that lap. We're following the transfer zone. All this action still happening in the early few moments of this race. Jared Clark putting on one heck of a drive. There he is there in the blue and yellow helmet looking for another one. He is right behind the, looks to be the 942 of Hunter Cole, who has driven his way on the Loki Racing Sodi Kart into 6th. Great run forward for Hunter.
Yeah, Hunter doing a good job. He's closing down his gap to Emily DeMaster, who's pushing Poirier along, and there goes Jared Clark on the inside. He gets clear. Jared Clark absolutely flying here. He's going to get to the rear bumper of Emily DeMaster's Comet Eagle. And any time now, 2 car lengths, that gap closing down. by the second here, and Demaster's going to have to realize that and look to go on Poirier here because they're just losing time to Gabier and to McCarthy out ahead, as well as Rudolph. They pulled a second on Gabier here, and you have to think the same thing can go here for the VLR of Gabier, as now Demaster finally going on Poirier, and there goes Jared Clark as well.
Move further back, that is the 377 of Anthony Quazeta. He was in that senior showdown last night, running behind the OTK of Brandon Adkins, trying to go forward. How about Matt Winfrey? He's also marching up the board right now on that Invader. The 424 had a problem right off the bat in the warm-up session. He is looking to at least race his way through in the race, the session that matters the most. Out front, Aiden Rudolph, Owen McCarthy driving away. Demaster wants third because she knows there's pressure on the way and she's on the hot seat. At the line, 6 now laps remain here, 4 complete so far, and Jared Clark has driven his way from deep in the field into the 5th spot, the 2nd place overall qualifier, having to race his way into the show here. The senior light driver with the BJR BPK crew on the bubble, or almost to the bubble right now, right on the cusp of it as Emily Demaster holds that final ticket to the big dance. Into the cell tower, nothing yet from Jared. He's taking his time, and a smart decision because he has a lot of laps left. They still have yet to get the cross flags, but you don't want to stall your progress out either, Caleb, because that's when the drivers behind you will start to get a little bit frantic and make some moves like that. There is a move from Abien Poirier, the Canadian, into 5th at the same time as Demaster that went by, and now Clark is going to have to go back in on Mikhail. So Mikhail Abien Poirier back to 6 once again. Clark up to the 5th spot. He's going to defend a little bit this time, realizing that he cannot go backwards. He's got to keep going forwards. He's got to drive forward. The speed is there, is off the circuit a little bit for Hunter Cole. He got shuffled wide.
Yeah, Matthew Winfrey, the driver there, was on the inside of Cole. He sent him up the racetrack, and now Demaster closing down her gap to the top 2. And again, 3 karts are going to be stronger than just 2. Jared Clark going to close down here. Black and white flag for somebody in this top 5.
And a meatball flag for someone further back. I think it must be for a dragon rear bumper. I'm waiting to see who it is. Oh, I can see it. It's further way down the board. That is the 042 of Braggy Vane right on the Maranello 18th, well outside the transfer window right now. But Cade Godby here, looks like he had to drop back. There was look at that, the 664 just went way backwards there out of turn number 4. I wonder if he was given the black and white flag signaling a penalty. He's frantically looking over the shoulder. It almost looked like he had to let Jared Clark by. Does our pole sitter have a penalty looming that he is trying to get erased mid-race so he can recover from it? A tip of the hat to the CKNA officiating staff to let him know, yes, indeed, it was Cade Godby here, our pole sitter in this LCQ. So he's got to let those drivers by and then try to race back around them and drive up to the front. So now that he's let a couple of karts by, he let Mikhail Abien Poirier through. Now he can go back forward. Matt Winfrey is saying, get out of the way, let me through, work together. And it's the LCQ, Matt. I'm sorry, you're just not going to get that here from the field, even as though you've got the pace to do so, because they all witnessed that while Cade had to let the drivers by, Jared Clark has pushed Emily Demaster all the way up to the lead group, the top 4. Stay in line, boys and girls. Don't do anything. You've got it. You've got the finals 4 spots. The pressure's on this group of 3 to drive back up to you, and you've got a 1.5 seconds to boot. Build on that. Stay there. Jared Clark went purple last time. All the leaders ran good laps. You don't need to do anything now. Let it ride.
1.5 seconds. The gap that these 3 on your screen have to make up to the top 4, and with Jared Clark setting purple lap times here of 1:20.580. He was 0.6 of a second quicker than Rudolph. He was 0.6 quicker than McCarthy, and about 0.4 quicker than Emily Demaster as well. So for Jared Clark to make up 15 positions in this race, he's in the safe spot here. Doesn't have to do all too much. Just can sit passenger from this point on. He's just going to put himself in a better starting position, but I just don't know, Xander, if Cade Godby really has the pace to keep up with these top 4, because they continue to put in really good lap times in 1.5 seconds. That's a tall ask when you only have 2 karts in training. I think Matthew Winfrey knows that, because he's now looking to go back on Godby here. You saw him negotiating the lap prior, and Winfrey has to know in that Cole Nelson Racing Invader machine that he's going to have to try and make some sort of move. But I will say they do look a lot closer this time around on the I-70 hairpin. We'll see what the gap looks like. The gap last time around was 1 second and 0.6. We'll see how it plays out here for the top 4 and the drivers 5th, 6th, and back. It closed down, so I could be mistaken here. Almost 0.5 seconds the
They're
gap
making
closed
progress.
down. Making progress here.
And they
indeed.
just need to get it down to at least about 8/10. They get to 8/10, they're going to get the benefit of the slipstream off the cars in front. Cade obviously has been quick. We've seen him at the front of some of the heats this weekend, but the VLR drivers had some rough luck, just like Jared Clark that's put him back. Matt Winfrey the same. They're pulling away, though, sadly, from the Canadian, Mikhail Aubin-Poirier. Things are not looking good for the driver from the Maple Leaf country trying to race his way in. One of our CKNA divisional champions. Looks like he may be shut out from the senior light main event from Grand Nationals. They talk about the competition level here. And again, the CKNA Canada division at some events, senior light typically is the main class there, even more competitive and a bigger turnout than senior medium. They've had as many as 80 drivers in senior light. So this is no slouch at all in Mikhail Aubin-Poirier at any of the three divisions, medium, light, or heavy, over in the CKNA Canada series to be a front runner. But sadly, again, there are a lot of front running, like lap time wise, drivers in this LCQ because of all the attrition through the heat races. I would not, again, knock his efforts at all. It's just, man, it's going to be tough. Cade Godby here knocked off a 10th the lap before, but now it's kind of gone back the other direction with 2 laps to go. He and Matt Winfrey need a little bit of shenanigans, if you will, at that front pack, and I don't know if it's going to happen because I think Jared Clark at the back is shoving this group forward. He's doing a really good job for the senior rookie that has only a handful of major starts. It's such a cool story for him and his family. His mom helps take photographs and run the social media for the Brandon Jarsicrack racing team to help pay for Jared's racing. His dad, of course, usually at every single event, both of his parents. It's a family affair for Jared. They have made such massive progress in nearly every division this year, from 206 to K100 Senior. He's been on our broadcast quite a bit, and he's now gone into third to get himself one bit spot higher insurance-wise, so that puts him a little closer. It would be a heartbreaking moment if one of our top 2 qualifiers did not make it to the main event. But that one pass, as we head for the white flag, has allowed, I believe, Cade Godby here and Matt Winfrey to pull within the drafting window. And as Aiden Rudolph leads, going to the white flag, the 2 in behind on the outside are now within the draft. Caleb, this is going to get close. 1 to go.
Yeah, I think Emily DeMaster may be affected here by this move by Jared Clark. That puts him up 16 spots, but as we look at the gaps, it closed down a little bit. 7/10 of a second. You said 8/10 was the gap that they needed to be within the drafting window, and they're definitely in that now. So look out for Cade Godby. Look out for Matthew Winfrey. They can possibly get it done here on the final lap of this race, but again, the pace of the top 4 has been super strong. Godby starting to close down in the first. On the chopping block is Emily DeMaster, who's on the edge. She's in the show here provisionally, but she's on the outside, just on the edge of this group. And again, hot on her heels for Cade Godby as Jared Clark goes to the lead. This is exactly what they wanted to see. The top 4 have absolutely exploded. Godby on the inside of Aiden Rudolph. Matthew Winfrey.
Aiden Rudolph now to the outside. He was leading early. He's back now to outside the transfer. And as they exit the shark fin, last chance for CRG Notre Dame's leading man. He's tucking even on the corner. Cade Godby here knows how close he is. It's going to be a close run to the line. Aiden Rudolph from inside, leading most of this race. He's not going to have enough of a run. Jared Clark with a crazy move to pull off the win as they battle ahead is going to cross the line and win the LCQ. And Aiden Rudolph, first man out, a heartbreak for him and Matt Winfrey on the final lap of the senior light last chance qualifier. Unbelievable scenes here from Newcastle as the transfer zone, it looked all but locked up for so long, almost the entire event. And on the final circuit, Aiden Rudolph ends up 2/10 shy of going to the main event in the senior light division. All results again unofficial, folks. Cade Godby here there in the 4th position. It's the last provisional transfer spot to the main event. Emily DeMaster races her way in. Owen McCarthy led a good bit of that one. He races his way in. And of course, Jared Clark picks up a grand total of 18 spots and wins the Senior Light Last Chance Qualifier. Never give up, Jared Clark. What an awesome run here. Let's go back through, sadly, the rest of the drivers that will not be joining us later on in today's main event. This was a ton of them that made it out there. You also had a good amount of DNFs as well. Riley Miller along with Vincent Golay and company. So once again, just a bummer for sure for many. But Aiden Rudolph, he did everything he could. He tried to keep his nose clean. There's still a lot to go through when it comes to penalties, post-race tech inspection at all. Kate Godby here making that heads-up decision. He could have, again, decided to fight it in the tech room. Instead, he opted to go and fight for his position by giving up the penalty now, and then going into the rest of the race was able to drive his way back in on merit. So he should be in the clear, but we still don't know. The juniors are already onto the racetrack here. We'll know exactly, of course, the grid lineup when they're ready to roll. But for now, let's go ahead and switch our focus to the junior drivers that'll be leading us to green. They've already had 31 of them go out and complete a lap in the warm-up session. And it is the third of our 4 total classes. Let's bring it to the starting lineup here for your junior class, presented by LIYK. Summer Joy Haley on the inside of row number 1 alongside Meyer Lewis. Then back on row number 2, Gabriel Payne and Nicholas Capolongo.
You go back to Caleb Lantern, Paulie Hart, Lewis Dilly, Maddox Hooper, Gavin Crutcher, and Michaela McGee, your top 10 starters.
Moving back to row number 6, Prevail Perkins and Sydney Miller start pretty far back from that 4th place final ticket to the big dance. Levi Getz and Adam Saldana back on row number 7. Lucien Lazure, Carson Benjamin, Leonardo Cervalli, and back to Christopher Golay and Jeremy Heath on row number 10. Let's go back to the back half of the junior drivers that'll line up for this last chance qualifier. 31 of them made it out. 35 in total are lined on the grid for it. So here we are back to the final few starters as they begin to make their way down the start-finish line straight away. So the last chance qualifier for the junior class filing its way into the tram lines on the right side there on the VLR, the 919. Summer Joy Haley on the left, Meyer Lewis in the Beryl Art 410. Here we go, last chance to race, and we've got issues off the bat. Couple of carts together, and it will get the green. Green flag is out. We're racing here. Oh man, off the bat there, a couple of drivers don't even make it across the finish line to start this LCQ, but we are well underway now, folks. We're racing here. This one is green, and we've got 9.5 laps to decide who makes it through the final 4.
We'll see how it all plays out here already. A couple of moves there. One of the Maranello machines able to get through there. That was Lantern, sorry. That's able to work his way up to 4th. You can tell it's been a long weekend here, Tanner, with how I'm kind of mispronouncing names. But Lantern able to work his way through inside of the top 4. Everybody else further back. Again, a couple of notables in this one. Isaac Malquit finds himself in the LCQ as Lantern gets together with another driver here. Wow.
That's the Maranello entry that's gone up and on top of the Beryl Art, and they're 2 and 3 wide now into the infield. The 410 of Meyer Lewis, our front row starter, and Caleb Lantern collide there. The 15 Maranello entry out of Richburg, South Carolina, takes them both down the leaderboard. So now your new leader, well, it's still Summer Joy Haley out in front, but behind her, the 45 of Gabriel Payne there in the Beryl Art. Then it is one of the PPK BJR Coyotes. That's Nicholas Capolongo, I believe, in the 228, and indeed it is, as he crosses the line there, P3, and then back to, looks to be Lewis Dilly there in the 4th spot, in the final spot through. Actually, Capolongo, they're just, yes, I think on the BJR PPK livery. For sure a Coyote. Want to get a confirmation on that. I'll double check, but I believe so. Lewis Dilly right there on the Spring, out of Spring, Texas, the 17. Last driver inside the show, then Paulie D. Hart out of New York. From the Oakland Valley Raceway Park Club in 5th. First driver outside looking in. There is the 428 of Michaela McGee trying to race her way forward and on that comp card, it looks like.
Yeah, there as well. And now a little bit of change there for the 3rd spot. Dilly in the Trackside Karting Services GFC was able to get up to 3rd there for a second. Capolongo able to go back into third, and here comes the entire cavalry here. Hart starting to close down. Perkins closing down his gap. Crutcher as well. McGee back to Getz, and Lanter able to recover to 10th and stop the bleeding there early, but still a lot of drivers ahead of them. Everybody working their way through, and the driver in third here for Capolongo, that's the new gen motorsports machine there, who sits in third, and no defending, a little too early here for the VLR of Summer Joy Haley. That driver, she's doing a pretty good job to hold on to her lead, and then the 200 working its way through for Getz. Levi Getz in the BJR PPK Coyote machine.
Big move forward. He went all the way to the top on the timesheets there that time by for Levi, so that was a heck of a lap there for him as Michaela McGee trails this pack. She leads kind of the next group as we follow Gavin Kutcher there in the VLR at the middle of that group. He's in the all blacked out entry, and then Paulie Hart there in the red and white and black independent Tony Kart. Here they go out of the cell tower hairpin, just getting things underway for the junior division. Our third of 4 last chance qualifiers, and while Summer Joy Haley has led for a good bit, it's about to get racy up front. Capolongo inside, looking, still side by side out of the green corner, looking into the scoreboard hairpin. He's got it done, but now Summer Joy Haley's going to go backwards even more as here goes to the inside. That might be Dilly. No, indeed. Is that Dilly there on the GFC that got through? I think he
Dilly,
did get by at least. He's gotten to third, but one driver ahead of him. Even, is that Prevail Perkins? It might even be Gavin Kutcher there up and in. No, that's Prevail Perkins on the Magic Kart. The 707 has gone from 5th and into 2nd on this lap.
Yeah, good drive there by Perkins to get themselves up a couple of spots. And then single file, here comes Isaac Malquit, who started almost last in this race. How about it for Ike? Little Sizzle making up a good number in that Mark Steele Motorsports 75 machine. And Mark Steele and Isaac's dad pretty much promised Isaac that for every pass that he made in heat race number 3 in the main event and in the LCQ, again, given if he does make it into the main event, he's going to get $1. So Isaac already has made up a couple, and side by side all the way through, Summer Joy Haley is falling under fire here.
Yeah, Summer Joy Haley, our pole sitter initially, is going backwards there. There's some other drivers that have had some rough runs, like Colton Guir, it looks like, or Gear on the Cosmic in the 32 is out. Jeremy Heath out. Tristan Searle out. And Dylan Callahan backwards. Lucian Laser out. Jeremy Heath also dropping back a number of positions. But there's still time for a lot to change at the front. We know there's a lot of junior drivers that want to be a part of the 60 on the grid later today. Isaac Malkuit, again, talk about humbling, right? Aiden Rudolph and Moore. Jared Clark, our second place qualifier, had to fight his way out of the LCQ. Rudolph didn't make it out of the LCQ. Isaac Malkuit goes from being one of the favorites probably coming into this event after how good he has been all year and for the last couple of years at this event specifically, to go now to just race for a single starting spot at the back of the field is insane, but it's a testament again to how the level has continued to improve and how many drivers really have a shot at winning this event. 4 laps complete now, 6 to go as they run. Prevail Perkins now taking over the lead, starting to build a little gap with the help of Nicholas Capolongo. The top 4 all pushing each other back to Gavin Crutcher there on the VLR, and then it's Paulie D. Hart there leading this next group, or at least he has a little bit of a lead back, maybe only a car length to Gabriel Payne as Malkuit door to door with our top starter getting by. So that's another spot for Little Sizzle. P8 for the 75. He still needs 4 more passes though to get into the show.
Gavin Crutcher, like you said, on the fastest lap of the race, so 123.288, and all this fighting here further back by Malkuit and a couple of others have kind of put them further down the order and lost a little bit of time. There's a lot of separation here, but if this LCQ is anything like we saw earlier, as Lanter gets hung up there on a move, as Moore ahead. Dilly looking for a move here as well. Dilly able to get clear. And I spoke too soon because they're going side by side. The same goes for Malquit here further back in the 45 of Gabriel Payne. My apologies. So going side by side, and you see Ike kind of trying to almost beg these drivers to help them and to push them further up and not fight it out too much here, just on the edge of the transfer spots.
But again, that they've got more drivers that are on the way behind them. You look at the man that has just worked his way into 10th, the young man there, Leonardo Saravalli, in the 287 Biro Art, has just hit his personal best lap. It's still not as fast as the leaders, but he's been able to close up a bit towards this pack of Summer Haley and company, so he might also make it even more. I will say, though, with as fast as Isaac Malkiewicz is running, last time by, even with all the movement around him and for him himself moving forward, he was a 1/10 of a second quicker than Prevail Perkins. And with a side-by-side moment here for third, that's all they needed. We're 6 deep now here in the lead group.
You have a couple of more moves looking to be made here as Isaac Malkiewicz getting here on the rear bumper and again arriving on the scene here, Xander. Everybody else still continue to work together, push each other along, and it's all going to explode when those 2.6 come in the air, but it's still going off now. Malkiewicz looking for another one inside of the 116 of Hart. He's able to get clear. Malkiewicz now goes up to P5 on the outside looking in.
Impressive charge here from Isaac Malkiewicz. One more spot to go already, and Gavin Crutcher knows it. He looked back and he saw the blue and white Steel Motorsports Ricardo kart right there looking to go by him. Let's see, can the 75 find a hole in the grid corner? He will not. Stays tucked on in. So Isaac Malkiewicz trying to go forward, maybe with a little bit of a push towards Gavin Crutcher and shove him through to third. Follow him to fourth. No, not going to be there. A good tuck-in line there by Lewis Dilley as he drops into fourth and stays in the window. But here comes Malkiewicz for the transfer spot. Cell tower and got him. The 75 moves himself now provisionally into the show.
Yeah, but they lost a lot of time, and this is going to help Malkiewicz here side by side for the 5th spot. Dilley was fighting there with Hart, and here goes Dilley back on the inside of Malkiewicz, who's going to fall back to 5th.
Well, there's still time left if they work together, but they all know this is it. And Dilley tried to cover off the low side. Again, Malkiewicz goes by. Ike has driven his way all the way forward. He's looking to try and at least just trigger maybe a little bit of fighting for 5th on back and buy himself a window, because Lewis is hanging on tough, and they've lost a lot of ground to the top 3, so he can't exactly convince him fully to work together. But he tried there, tapped his helmet, said, look, we can at least get away from the group behind us that are fighting again. Paulie Hart, Caleb Lanter, Gabriel Payne. They have traded that spot around a little bit, and now they're looking to do the same. There's Summer Haley now in the mix of the 3 as Lanter's faded back to the 9th spot. 3 laps to go now. Still Leonardo Saravalli, best of the rest, trying to move forward.
See that gap here, update in between Malkiewicz and Dilley. That gap sits about a second in between Paulie D. Hart and Gabriel Payne, 6th and 7th on the racetrack here. So everybody that's in that group of 3, they're further back. The likes of Summerjoy Haley, of Gabriel Payne, and others that just need that extra little bit to get up there. They're not going to want to see Malkiewicz start to pull away from Dilley here. That gap opens up to a car length, and again, expect it to close down when we get onto the main straightaway. But for Malkiewicz with a lot of power here, and able to hit his marks just a little bit better than Dilley at this stage of the race. So we'll see what Malkiewicz decides to do when he gets up and closer to the top 3 of Crutcher, Capilongo, and Prevail Perkins.
We won't have to wait too long to find out, though, Caleb. 2 laps to go this time by Isaac Malkiewicz. Do you really want to go by them? Jared Clark got to the main pack, stayed a little bit, but at the same time, once the group behind started to close on in, he went. You saw Ike take a look over his shoulder. I think Lewis Dilley is too close for comfort, and there it is. Isaac Malkiewicz says, I gotta go. So he's gonna look to go to 3rd on Gavin Crutcher and put Gavin into the hot seat once again. Gavin's been there multiple times this race on that VLR, the 968 now. Last driver on the inside of the bubble. Outside looking in still is that black and white GFC of Lewis Dilley, trying to get some positive momentum for the Trackside Karting Services team. A heartbreaking moment for Tim Loba. Had a go-kart stolen overnight this weekend. He is trying his hardest to bring them some positive vibes here in this LCQ. And as they go through the horseshoe, Lewis Dilley is still only 2 car lengths away from getting into the main event, and they're lined up 4 deep, nose to tail in front of him. Anything can happen with a lap and a half remaining.
We saw it happen there in Senior Light, and again, expect it to happen here, and this is exactly what they want to see. Malkiewicz on the inside of Capilongo. Malkiewicz up to 2nd. Now Prevail Perkins going to be the next driver to go up to 1st, but that moves a couple of drivers further back, and this is going to help Dilley here side by side for the 4th spot in between Capilongo and Crutcher. They continue to fight for the edge of the transfer spot, giving new life to the Trackside Karting Services GFC team up to the I-70 corner for the second to last time. On the inside, Crutcher gets through. Dilly is back into the show.
Unbelievable for Lewis Dilly there. Great stuff as the driver now moves himself into that last transfer spot. Isaac Malcuit working with Prevail Perkins. I think at this point, 1 to go. You've got yourself about a 9/10 advantage. Just push him. Maybe you go ahead and if you want to pass him on the last corner or two, but outside of that, Ike and Prevail, I think we're going to see just stay glued together. This is going to be the focus once again. No different than senior heavy, no different than senior light. And it's a fight for third. Dilly wants to get another spot. He wants to build some insurance, but that was a bit risky. It didn't quite pay off. Gavin Crutcher fighting with everything he's got. He'll hold third still through the cell tower. No moves made there, and Nicholas Capilongo has spent, it feels like, 90% of this event inside the cut line. Now he's on the outside, trying to join the rest of his BJR PPK entries in the main event. Here he goes to the inside of Dilly, through in the green corner. Dilly back to the outside window.
Dilly again sits in fifth, but defending already for Crutcher. Dilly gets back through, and now Capilongo stays in that fifth spot. Capilongo able to go back. Looked like Dilly dropped the tire there on the exit, and this transfer spot has definitely opened up half a car length in between them all.
Up the hill, final time here for the last chance qualifier as we look to go to the main events later here in junior. They've got a long wait, but for some, the ending will begin now. Isaac Malcuit's gone around Prevail Perkins. He'll win the LCQ. Side by side for the transfer, side by side for the LCQ. It is Capilongo and Crutcher. Lewis Dilly unable to find a way to get alongside them and get the run. And look at the rest of the bobbing and weaving coming to the line further back as the rest of the junior drivers, you saw one have both their hands go on their head as reality sets in that sadly the journey through the Grand Nationals 8 ends. But for 4 that have made it through the madness and the chaos, and especially an impressive drive for Isaac Malcuit to drive all the way up the board there. It has confused even our live timing and scoring with how fast he was. The Steel Motorsports Ricardo Kart wins the junior last chance qualifier. Prevail Perkins, Nicholas Capilongo, and Gavin Crutcher provisionally will all join him in the main event later on today. Exclusive to KCB members, that means they're going to have to go out for warm-up again, so we'll still see them on our free preview. But on the other end, well, it's a bit more of a bummer when you look further and further down to the rest of the drivers that sadly will have their journeys at the CKNA Grand Nationals come to a close Sunday morning, not making it out of this last chance qualifier. Only, I think, 1 or 2 ended up not going out, so tip of the hat for all of the juniors. 34 at least made it around to the timing loop that time, and we obviously saw 2 get hooked together coming to the green. So with all that stated, I mean, this is at least giving it all you got and fighting to the very last breath. Unlike some of the senior drivers that focused on one division, the juniors only have the one to focus on. All of them went after it, but now 1 more class remains. Senior mediums last chance qualifier rolls. We return here on Kart Chaser.
Maryland USA, a top-level performance team with unmatched hospitality, offering a full-service driver development program with year-round testing available in Miami, Florida, and the official North America racing team of Parolin Racing Chassis. Chassis and parts available at ParolinUSA.com.
At Precision Performance Karting and Brandon Jarthacrack Racing, developing winners is what we do. We're a complete karting program with support, driver coaching, parts, and arrive and drive packages at all levels. Trackhouse, Motorplex Karting Challenge, club races, the CKNA South Division, the CKNA Majors, and a complete in-house ladder program with the BJR to move from 206 club racing to the highest levels of KA and X30 competition in the U.S. If you're ready to learn from industry veteran John Seglin and multi-time U.S. Pro Kart Series champion Brandon Jarthacrack, head over to ppkartingfl.com and contact us today.
Colin, I need a new 219 chain. I need a 77 tooth roof sprocket. I need some more chain lube, and I need it probably as soon as like tomorrow. Dude, are you even listening? Like, we need this to run this weekend.
Want anything else?
What do you mean?
I already got it in the Kart on Acceleration Kart Racing's online store, bro. All orders over $200 get free shipping.
Oh, throw in a set of tires.
Done.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free on orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Shop AKR.com.
Looking for a team with a diverse calendar? How about a team that offers both full support and teaches you and your kid how to do all the work yourself? For us at Drive Your Line Kart Sport, fostering growth on and off the track in a family environment is what we do. Well, that and bringing home some hardware. Contact us today online at dylkartsport.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The senior medium last chance qualifier is on to the circuit now. Let's take a look at how they'll line up for this one. Just like senior light, a ton of them have made up the grid for senior medium. Kicks off with Nathan Heath on the Invader on the front row. Braden Heber on the outside. Michael Lang and Drew Zuck on back. Find your favorite driver. They're already to the I-70 corner. We'll try and give you the opportunity there to quickly look at where your superstar lines up here. In fact, it's a total of 50 plus that have the opportunity to try and race their way into the show. A lot of big names that are back, but they're already into the tram lines. So here we go, 51 in total. Back to Owen Mao on the inside of the front row. There's Nathan Heath, ready to lead us through to green.
It's out.
Oh, there we go, green flag in the air. We're racing down to turn number one. It looks like there's one more, actually, that we've got on the grid there. I think that might be the 008 of Riley Miller on the pole. So bit of a miscue. He was slated to start up at the front. Either way, we're green. One lap in, or starting one lap right now of the 10 laps on the LCQ, and we've got them all to turn 5.
A couple of the big notables that you heard of a lot yesterday. The rookie Josie Chambers finds himself in this senior medium LCQ, and a lot of others as well. Matt Lyda, Ben Lyda, the two brothers, the Sausage and Whiskey Racing drivers here this weekend in this race as well. And again, we talked about Nathan Heath for the Invader team and a lot more as well, looking for the last little bits of spots as there goes the Coyote PPK machine there, able to get through, and I believe that was Heber there as more moves further back here. Lyda in this group, he's looking to make up a couple. He's able to get it done.
Drew Zuck there on the outside in the 528, trying to hang on tough. Still side by side, that looks to be Lyda still. He's going to win that battle against Lyda up the hill for the 008 of Riley Miller. He leads the number 8 of Heber out of that last turn, then back to one of the Invaders as well. Across the line, they're going to fan out. And we've got a Coyote looking to go all the way to the lead. What a start, what a run. Michael Lang is going to go to the front of the field.
Side by side on the exit of turn number 1 there, Heber and Kraus fighting for the transfer spot. That's the battle for 4th there. They went sideways there almost on the exit. They're able to hold on to it, and Heber looking to make up a spot. They all fade low, fade high, look for whatever they can get, and not able to get it done, but Ing leads us away. Heath sits in second for the Invader team, and there goes Heber on the inside of Miller. He's able to get clear in the entire battle for 4th, 3rd on back to the edge of the top 10 with Edkoff. Everybody staying in tow here, able to close in as more moves get off this field. There's the 34 Kraus, finally able to get through ahead of Miller, who continues to fall down the order. Can't stop the bleeding at this point. Zutch gonna get through there as well, and here comes Lyda. Ben Lyda looking on the inside, going side by side into the shark fin. He's gonna be stuck almost into the grass. He drops a tire, and here come 3 on the inside.
Craziness to get things going in this senior medium LCQ. What a run so far for, again, out in front, Michael Lang to get to the point, but he's under heavy pressure. Let's see what happens as they come to the loop for 2 laps completed. A big move down the inside for the Invader and Nathan Heath on the 47. He'll pull off the move there down into the inside of the corner. Nice move for Nathan.
Heber followed him through as well, up to 2nd. And now Ing fell back in the Coyote machine to the 3rd spot in the top 5 now. very close together. The driver that's in sixth at the moment, that's McCarthy here once again. He was in both of the LCQs that we had. For McCarthy, the 367 Prime Power Steel Motorsports Barrel Art Machine. In a couple of the Canadian contingency here this weekend, sits there further back, just behind the 34 of Kraus, and they're going to be single file. A couple of moves there being made. Kraus looking on the inside. He's able to get clear on Zutch. He's going to get moved to the wayside. And McCarthy now able to make up a couple of spots, and it all goes wrong here for Zutch, who continues to get freight trained corner after corner.
So with the blue and yellow number 8 now at the front of the field, it is a big time change with 3 laps to be completed this time by. Take a look though at the 367. Owen McCarthy on the Prime Power team. Barrel Art driving his way forward there in the red, white, and black team. They are into 5th now, looking for more, actually maybe even higher than that. Into 4th, into a transfer spot, side by side further back. More moves made. That's one of the MGMs going on through. Look to be potentially Austin Johnson there. Austin Johnson indeed on the MGM out of Mooresville, North Carolina. Up and into 6th there. Drew Zuck still on the Cosmic with Leslie Racing here, one of the local Indiana-based operations.
The 115 there of Johnson in the MGM. Again, with Zutch right behind him, they're able to hold on to their battles here, but again, they have to set their difference to the side here, Sander, and try and close down the gap to the top 4, because the main event spots are really running away here. The gap in between the top 4 is pretty much staying stale, and as I say that, moves getting made here. There goes McCarthy looking on the inside, and Nathan Heath falls back in a line, but they continue to work their way through, and now they're going to set their difference to the side and try and get up there to the top 4 with the more that they fight. 34 is at the helm of that second group. Kraus with the VLR team here this weekend, holding on there to the 5th spot and continue to push this entire group along. And as I said that, Kraus and his VLR fell back a couple of spots here, falling down the order there as well. And Heath looking to make up a couple. The 619 looking to go through. Dalek in the MGM. He's able to get through on the 34 of Kraus.
What a shakeup here as Braden Haber continues to show the way, still with now a pressure for the driver behind him. Side by side for second. Fellas, you're all safely in right now. They've been fighting behind you over a 1.5 seconds back, but now as they trade up the spots again, this time it is going to be Nathan Heath trying to go 1 up. He goes 1 back. Now he goes to the hot seat in 4th. And all of that in one run, one sector through the horseshoe brings Austin Johnson new life, brings Drew Zuck new life, and I believe right behind them as well is going to be the 619, a Tyler Dolak. He'll get another shot to race his way in as they continue to battle in front of him.
Yeah, Dolak on the MGM there, still looking to close down on Zutch, who's holding strong for now. But you have to question how long is Zutch going to be able to stay there, as, again, this battle for the lead has continued to change, and now another move here. A couple of drivers looking there on the inside. Ing clear before the I-70 hairpin. Only halfway through with how action-packed the senior medium race has been. And now Heath looking to make up a spot. He goes up to 3rd.
Scott Kleiman climbing the boards. So is Jack Grote. They'll get into the top 10. Josh Stiefel moving up as well. More drivers starting to find their footing here in this senior medium last chance qualifier. And oh man, craziness around them further back.
Nicholas Kiefer in the Mach 1. Unfortunately, out of this one. He's going to be in the senior heavy main event later on today, but he would have liked to be in 2 main events, just like Rudolph. He's going to be in the senior medium main event, but out of the senior light one early. And again, on the chopping block now, it's going to be Heber, but a pass
Owen
for
McCarthy.
the lead.
Another spot gain. That's 8 total for Owen McCarthy from 9th on the grid. Now he moves his way past Michael Lang, but that one pass now has connected the dots. It's 6 deep, side by side for 5th, just outside the transfer. Drew Zuck gets by Austin Johnson. Pushed him forward, now is going to try and work himself forward through this infield shark fin. but they were side by side ahead of him there. Nathan Heath and Braden Heber, neither one could figure out what they wanted to do. Out of the last corner, Heber still on the number 8, hanging on to the 3rd spot, and Nathan Heath back to 4th, this time by 6 laps will be completed. 4 laps to go here in this last chance qualifier.
4 laps to go this time when they cross the stripe, and they're all still shuffling for position as this race continues to go on. Heath now the driver on the chopping block, with everybody else starting to close on the gap. Johnson as well has company in behind, and now the 523 of Zutch as Johnson, Dolick, back to Clement in the 92 there as well, and that's not too far off in that red machine there that continues to close down his gap. And then Grote right behind him in the Trackside Karting Services GFC as well. Kraus, your top 10 here. Everybody still within a real shot as Heber now looking on the inside of Heath. He gets clear in the green corner. And Heath now going to fall under fire here to Zutch. We'll see how long Nathan Heath on that Cole Nelson Racing Invader can hold on. Not for long, because Zutch was looking for a move. He slots back in the line, and that half move there affected him just a bit because Johnson has closed on his gap a whole lot and has a fellow chassis member right behind him in Dolick.
Scott Clayman still is closing in, and so is Jack Grote, though, focusing even back. Check how big the pack has gotten. Grote now to the inside of the, looks to be the 619 of Tyler Dolick. He'll get by him and ahead. Big move there. That's Clayman. Scott Clayman's got himself another spot, the 92, charging up the field right now. Into 6th here for Scott Clayman as the march rolls. Next up on the chopping block for him will be Nathan Heath. Nathan just tapped his helmet. He wants a little help to get back up to Drew Zuck, who has been able to work his way past him on that Leslie Racing Cosmic, one of the local Midwestern-based groups here. Just a small little operation trying to race into the big show, and they are all now 10 deep for the last chance qualifier in senior medium. No better way to close out these LCQs, Caleb, than a master pack here that is going to put on some fireworks in a matter of moments. 2.5 laps to go as they fight into the infield hairpin. Any moves in the group? There's one for Clayman. Another spot up for the all red and black machine.
Yeah, this is absolutely insane, and you have to think this is still the warm-ups before the grand final warm-ups here. The LCQs still providing us with some great racing action before we get into grand finals racing mode, and all these drivers trying to get into that mode here as well and put themselves in the warm-up just in an hour's time. Everybody still fighting the top 5. You can't put a blanket over them. 2 sticks in the air, officially crunch time here in the senior medium last chance qualifier. Zutch on the outside, Clayman there on the outside looking in there, in the MGM. He's going to have a lot of work to do to try and get up there.
Oh man, here we go, boys and girls. Single file on the run to turn 5. Owen McCarthy has done everything possible to try and put himself with the best odds to join the other 56 drivers locked into the big show later on today in senior medium, the last class of the 9 to roll into the infield cell tower at the back of the infield and the cell tower hairpin. Clayman, no opportunity there. Drew Zuck still looking to maybe go right back around Braden Heber. Let's see if he can pull that off in the green corner. He's going to look inside. Yes, Braden Heber back to 4th. Here comes Clayman to the inside for the transfer spot.
Clayman made up a lot of time there. Nathan Heath with new life here as well in the Invader machine. The top 2 are running away. And now Clayman holds on here for how long as he gets through on Heber. Heber falls outside of the show, and here comes Nathan Heath going side by side for the 5th spot. What a move there to finish it off. Heber around the outside. Oh. They make contact.
More drivers on the way. Austin Johnson trying to get by. Jack Grote is there. Hand in the air from Nathan Heber. The number 8 has been inside the top 4 all race long, and now he crosses the line all the way down in 7th. 1 lap to go. Clayman is in. Nathan Heath, a long ways to drive forward for him. Jack Grote on the TKS GFC back in 6th has charged forward also this entire event. Followed Clayman most of the way. Can he get up there on this last lap? It's 11 spots gained for Jack Grote, 14 up for Scott Clayman, and 8 up, of course, for your race leader, Owen McCarthy. Here's a look at Grote. with Nathan Eber behind him, trying to make one last heave forward, but he's just so far back, Caleb. I don't know, but there was so much contact. There still is, of course, a lot to be decided in race control, so it's never over until the grids are finalized and posted. But as things stand, it looks like our 4 are safe here for now.
And McCarthy there faded low into the green corner, was defending from the driver in second from Ing, and this could pretty much give new life here to Jack Grote, but again, it's just going to be a really deflating feeling for him to see the top 4 continue to run away and continue to pull away here. It's not going to be enough. On the outside, Clement is going to be into the show provisionally, side by side on the main straightaway.
Down the front stretch, checkers in the air here. They're going to drag race to close out this LCQ, but behind, it's all good. Michael Lang is going to beat McCarthy to the line, but Drew Zuck and Scott Kleiman will punch their ticket to the big show here this afternoon, and a lot more will not. Unfortunately, lots of drivers entered here, over 100 in both senior medium and senior light, and it has now been narrowed provisionally to our top 60, with the top 4 out of this LCQ moving on. Michael Lang on the Coyote, Owen McCarthy, smart races for the pair of them. They stayed pretty much no worse than first or second once they got there, Caleb.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad for that pair there to make up a couple of spots. And again, McCarthy just able to hold on to it there in the end, and Michael Lang as well. Good for him to win the race. And again, that also decides where you're going to start in the main event, either on the inside or on the outside. So for those drivers, just a little bit of changes. And again, they're going to start at the tail end of the field, so they're just, the only way they can go is up. All right, and they did a pretty good job to get themselves in good positions. There's your top 15 all the way down across. Just unfortunately, the drivers that were out of this one, and gonna have to be spectators later on today when the Grand Nationals get set to kick off. There's the rest of your field here. A couple of drivers that we saw earlier on. Hunter Cole was one that we saw in light. Couldn't close this one out, so that was unfortunate for them. And then again, further back, the drivers that didn't take the green flag here today. Josie Chambers looking to focus on senior light here as well. Nicholas Kiefer was out of this one early, and there's the rest of your field.
Yeah, Brady Atwood as well. We saw him last night. I'd imagine he was the same boat as Josie Chambers, wanted to switch the focus. Yeah, Mo as well. So there's a look at the final LCQ, all completed now. It's a couple of moments time. You can already see helmets on the grid to the top of the lineup for all 9 divisions main events, up to 60 in most classes. At minimum, I think somewhere the lowest might be Kit Kart, around 30. So it's a ton of drivers still waiting to get their turn to check out the racetrack for one last checkup, one last test and tune session before main events roll at noon Eastern. So if you're looking for the countdown to the Grand National Championship Finals, again, that's in just under 2 hours. Warm-ups will begin momentarily here, kicking off at the top of the order with Sportsman.
All right, welcome everybody if you're back on. Welcome everybody if you're back on. This is the CKNA Grand Nationals here at our final day, Sunday, October 13, 2024. Getting ready to crown our Grand National champions here. We've had a long weekend, a lot of great events going on, and we got through our LCQs and we're getting our starting grids ready. Right now on the track, you see the Sportsman class. These are their warm-up laps for the next half hour or so. We will be broadcasting the warm-ups. And at around 12 noon, we will go with the first feature heat final for the day to crown the Grand National champion in the Sportsman group. But right now, Sportsman's out there warming up, getting ready for this day, and there's been tremendous amount of competition, We've seen people, past champions, top runners, running in the last, what we call the last qualifier race to try to get into the main show. It has been just a tremendous weekend with the best of the best showing up here. Many states represented, countries represented, and around over 600 entries at this race that CKNA has put together with the big support of the divisionals that they run all year long. I should say we have a winter division, but that's the South Division. And then there's the North Division, which is in this area of the country where we are right now, Castle Motorsports Park in Spiceland, Indiana. Some people call it Newcastle, but that's where we are. And then you have the Canadian division, which does exceptionally well and has a lot of 206 races. And when I say the word 206, for those watching out there might not know what that is, Briggs & Stratton, about 15 years ago, built an engine, a race engine, a real race engine, not an engine for one of their other type things that they sell. And they started a motorsport division, and they decided to build this engine and set the rules for the engine. And they did a bunch of things to try to make it affordable for everybody to get in, and try to make it easy for people who maybe know not much about anything as far as when it comes to an engine or racing to get them involved in the sport. And it was called an L206, and the L stood for local, O was option. And I don't know why they called it that, but the 206, they called it because of the cubic centimeters. It's 206 cubic centimeters, the engine. So they came out with this engine. They sealed it with Homeland Security seals, and they put a rev limiter on it, and they have a way that we can restrict it for the junior classes by putting what we call a different slide in the carburetor. So you could buy this engine, start your child on it, and if they take care of it, change the oil and everything else, it just takes straight gasoline because it is a 4-cycle engine. They can move that. They can, as they move up in racing, that engine could go with them with some minor changes to be legal in the other classes. And the minor changes is that slide in the carburetor, and then there's a different rev limiter that goes from the kid carts and the cadet carts up to the senior carts. So it was a very good idea by Briggs. It was a good way to get karting moving again in the 4-cycle ranks. And it has been so successful. And I can tell you how successful it's been. Over 600 entries, people here racing. Everybody is on the same engine. Now, that also does something great for the event because the tech people do not have to carry different tools, different tech ways to manage different types of engines at other events that do happen. But this event, one type of engine is going to be tech, and therefore these engines get tech. So everybody knows they're racing. Again, if the person that wins, it's not about trying to look at that person to see if they're doing something illegal. It's about showing the rest of the people that that person was legit, and this is how fast you can really go once you start working on your racing abilities. And a lot has to do with the driver and with the setup on the chassis. So as you get involved in the sport, you will start seeing what it takes to win in the 206 class. But it's a great class for local option, and it's a great way to get people, if you're at a local club or starting a local club, it's a great way to get people involved into the sport of karting. From there, they can go wherever they want. Some move up to other type car racing or whatever, but this is a great way to get people involved, and it has worked, as you can see. Like I say, we put together a race here, the Grand National Cup Karts of North America, and over 600 entries. So that's the story behind 206. We thank Briggs & Stratton for doing that, coming out with that engine, writing the rules. The rules remain the same, and that's another big thing that you don't have to worry about. All the rules change, and I got to go out and buy this. All the rules change, and I got to go and buy that. I mean, the rules sometimes have to change due to manufacturing maybe, or some ordinance maybe, but that's about it. The tires are restricted when you run CKA. The tires, you have to use a certain tire. The engine is the 206. They spec out the exhaust, the clutch. Everything is a spec item. And in this whole weekend, I've been saying this is the spec type racing you'll ever see. Similar to NASCAR. NASCAR is pretty much spec now. They're all running about the same thing out there. It just comes around to the driver and the setup. And so it depends on what track you're at, what you need to do when you get to that track to be faster than somebody else. So we're seeing, like I said, some great racing here this whole weekend. And now we're down to the final. The final classes that we're looking for who will be the Grand National champion. Sportsman was just out there doing their practice laps. Up next will be Legends. Now, when I say Legends, there are some Legends here of karting. You have to be 50 years and older to be in the Legends class. So we allow for everybody different from kid karts all the way up to 50 and over. And I believe we have a couple people in their 70s that are racing here this weekend. All right, on the track right now is your Legends class, as I mentioned. In Legends, you have to be 50 years and older. Now, another thing that the sport of karting does, and 206, is that each class we designate how old the driver has to be and the amount of weight the driver has to be total with the kart, not just the weight of the driver, total with the kart. So in this case, the Legends, they have to be 50 years and older, and they have to be a total of 375 pounds when they roll across the scales. And that's to keep it fair for everybody. So everybody, you could weigh more than 375 pounds, not a problem, but you cannot be at 374 pounds or lighter. You will get disqualified. So it keeps it fair for everybody. Nobody's gaining some extra because they've cut their weight so much that they can be very fast. But that's how we do it. And so when you hear us during the day, saying senior light, senior medium, senior heavy, those are the different light weight classes that we allow. So senior light would be 340 pounds total, senior medium 365, senior heavy 390 pounds. So that's the total weight, driver and driver and vehicle, driver and kart. So another thing to keep the racing fair. So a lot of things put in place to make it fair for everybody and enjoyable, and try to make it somewhat affordable. And I think it is probably the most affordable motorsport you will find. So we're watching the Legends go around. These are our karting Legends, 50 and over, and I believe I've heard that there's a couple drivers in there that are in their 70s. So you got to give them credit. It is a physical sport, believe it or not. If anybody gets out there, if these people will make it look easy. They make it look easy because they've been doing it, and it looks easy. But when you get in there, you are tired after doing a number of laps unless you're in shape. So these guys have to be in shape, or these people have to be in shape out there, whether they're 50 or 70. But these are our top racers in North America. They came here to try to become a Grand National champion. All right, we still have the legends out there. They get about 8 minutes of what we call a warm-up or a practice. And basically, they're out there just making sure everything is working fine. They're feeling out the track. If they see if they have to make some more minor adjustments before they start their feature of the day. Now, they know that as the sun is out now, and by the time they get out there, the legends won't be out there until 12:40 p.m. today. The track might change a little, so these drivers are well seasoned. They'll know what they might have to do as far as tire pressure and anything else they might want to tune to get that chassis at its best. So legends they're getting the checkered flag. Up next, we'll have Senior Heavy. Senior Heavy will be out next. They get about an 8-minute session here, like I said, to check out their equipment. They do not have to go out. You might not see all our drivers out there during these sessions. It's not mandatory that they go out. This is something that the officials do to allow drivers, like I said, and maybe they had some problems on yesterday. They had to change something. They want to make sure everything is working, functioning the way it should be. They wanted to get a feel for the track, see if traction's picking up, is it getting greasy out there or whatever. And they also, that's the main thing they're out there for. Some of them are probably taking their lap times to see if they got better, if they did make some changes. So this is a good time for them. Like I said, Senior Heavy now going out, and as I mentioned, when we use the word heavy, light, that is the difference in the total weight of driver and kart. And they all, once again, all 600, over 600 racers here run the Briggs & Stratton LO206. You can go to Briggs & Stratton Motorsports, type it in on your browser, and you'll get the whole story about the 206 and how Briggs & Stratton is involved in racing. They are here, of course, at this big event, and one thing we'd like to mention to all the drivers out there and the mechanics and everybody that's here, all the sponsors, we thank them for making this racing possible. And a lot of our sponsors are here. Greg Jasperson, the owner of CKNA, had announced at the drivers meeting, I believe 30-something of the sponsors are physically here. So once again, you run into one of them or you want to know something about their product, they are here. So this is, I know, a race, but it is a major event. We're getting ready to send out, like I said, Senior Heavy. They'll be out next.
This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself, quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
Ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today. USA, a top-level performance team with unmatched hospitality, offering a full-service driver development program with year-round testing available in Miami, Florida, and the official North America racing team of Parolin Racing Chassis. Chassis and parts available at ParolinUSA.com.
Thank you. Welcome back to everyone here for morning warm-ups, and this is Senior Heavy presented by Coyote Racing Chassis. This is our third group for the warm-up sessions, and we've got something really cool headed your way. On your screen there, that is a pack of a couple featuring the number 17, specifically black and blue MGM of Bryce Frank. He is riding with our Kart Chaser onboard camera, and we're going to go ahead and ride on board with Bryce and take you around a full lap here at the CKNA Grand Nationals. Check this out right on alongside with the number 17 out of Texas. The Houston, Texas native is starting in a pretty decent spot for this senior heavy main event. And, well, Tony, you can kind of talk us a little bit through the full lap around Castle Motorsports Park here on this Grand Nationals layout. 1.2 miles in length here, and it begins with this long run down the 1,000-foot Long Pond straightaway. And watching Bryce as he pushes William Lessig down the front stretch here. A couple of MGMs working together in the warm-up session.
Yeah, one thing I want to say, it's not really that bumpy out there.
Yeah.
I think we got just a little bit of camera vibration, but it is not that bumpy out there. And I know we have about 19 turns. I'm sorry, I never drove this track, never been here before, so it's hard for me to take you around. Maybe you know a little better.
Well, I will say those couple of 90s to get through are some of the easier parts. This is one of the more technical sectors of the racetrack. You can see even there's a little bit of elevation change cresting over that hill through this horseshoe section. We've seen plenty of passes right here in this cell tower hairpin, and then you have a long run coming out of that 180, so you've got to get out of it good. Obviously, you can see William Lessig pulled away a little bit from Bryce there, but it's a long enough run that the draft kind of pulls you back in by the time you get to this green corner, as we've been calling it, this hairpin. That's one passing opportunity, and you can see working together, these two are closing in. The driver in front of them, that's the number 37 of Ryan Curtin out of Atlanta, Georgia on the Beryl Art, and two cars pushing better than one, and we've got a great view of it right here. This shark fin as well. I mean, the cameras, both the mobile cam that we had down on the infield last night and this onboard, they really don't do it justice of the drop-down banking in that specific turn. Even a little bit here, you feel like you can throw the cart into the corner at the I-70 hairpin and go there. But check this out. Riding through, watch the closing rate on the draft here, but then it starts to halt right about there before the finish line. That's when they'll start to bounce the rev limiters a little bit. So Bryce Frank showing us around a little bit here in warm-up, and a huge thanks to Bryce and the MGM Jam Racing AR Academy kind of combination crew for letting us take a side-by-side seat here in the beginning session of the day for them. Of course, Bryce was able to go straight on into the show, and he's got himself right now up into that fourth position already on time. So he's looking pretty sporty here, and the driver that he's pushing around looks to be pretty fast as well. Of course, there with William Lessig. He's right there mostly with him lap time-wise. But Bryce going by him as Lessig kind of bailed out of the way a little bit further off. But William Lessig right there on the MGM. Bryce on the MGM fourth. So that's a fast lap we were watching, at least early. 2 laps complete so far in the senior heavy warm-up.
Yeah, it really gave the people at home a perspective of what's going on out there. And like I said, a 19-turn track. These drivers are under a lot of stress. You got to be in pretty good physical shape to race this Grand National here. And any motorsport, you have to be in physical shape to do. But karting will definitely press you to the limit sometimes with the G-forces and like at this track, the amount of turns that are there. And each lap is just over a minute. So if we do, what's our feature today? 20 laps or 15?
I'll double check into that here. Well, you got the schedule in front of you, don't you, Tony?
I don't know if it tells us, but.
Oh, no, you're right. Let's take a look there. The grand finals are 15 laps.
15 laps.
It's in bold, top of it, but it's small. Greg typed a lot into those schedules. He made sure everybody had every bit of information on it.
No, the CKNA definitely try to put everything out there so everybody knows what's going on when we're doing it. They are very strict with sticking to the time schedule, and as we told people all through the weekend, even if we're ahead of schedule, when it's your kart, when your class is scheduled to go out, it will not go out before your time on the schedule. So they try their best to stick to the schedule. There could be problems that puts us off, and then they try to get the word out to people that, hey, we're 10 minutes behind, we're an hour behind, whatever it is, and then you add that to the schedule so you know when you have to be up at the grid. So the schedule, they live by that schedule, and they will not come off that schedule unless something forces us, CKNA, to come off. So beautiful weather this whole weekend, and the weather's been basically the same the whole weekend, which allows the drivers really to get their setup right, and they don't have to worry about is it going to rain, is there a big temperature change. So that's one key feature that a lot of drivers, that as in karting or in any motorsport, you have to think about and get your kart ready or your car ready. So this weather has been really great here at Castle Motorsports Park this year, the 2024 final race for the CKNA season.
Well, check this out. How about that? Onboard camera bringing some luck while Bryce Frank is heading a bit out of range. I think we'll probably lose him right about there, more or less, as he goes into the scale line. But fastest car on the racetrack in the warm-up session for the MGM of Bryce Frank. And it's an MGM 1-2 there with Mikey Bolin joining him there at the top of the leaderboard. Nice work, fellas, and appreciate again the free ride along. That was fun. That was cool to watch.
Right. So when you hear Xander say MGM and he's mentioning above other names, sometimes it's a team that's here, and most of the time it's a manufacturer of the chassis. Such as in NASCAR, we'd say he's on the Ford, he's on the Chevy. Here we are on MGMs, Coyotes, Cosmics, OTK, which could be Tony Kart, Burrell Art. You have a bunch of karts, Mach 1. I'm just looking down at VLR. You'll hear us saying during this whole weekend that if we know what that driver's on, we'll give that chassis credit that they're on that. Or if they're on a certain team, you'll also hear that. Mark Steele Motorsports, BJR Racing. You will hear us if we know that driver and what they're carrying, what they're on. And if some drivers might not want us to say it, so we won't. There'll be nothing. We won't say anything. But for those drivers that let us know what they're driving or what they want us to announce about as far as their equipment, we will do that. So that's another thing in case new people signing on, that's what that's all about.
A grand total again of 60 drivers here, along with the 4 that transferred from the LCQ. So taking a look back here, at least the 56 we were able to get scored, and a couple more that joined on in. William Lessig there at the bottom didn't register for us. We'll get that corrected. There were a couple to update on the warm-up for the heavy drivers. But joining us now in the booth here in the morning, Dave Mack. Dave, good to hear from you. Good to see you. Dave, you sleep in a little bit this morning? Where you been running around to?
Yeah, Dave's got a lot to do. Believe it or not, I was just found at Walmart. We had to go get water for the tech area. We just bought 7 cases of water.
Oh, man.
Somehow they ran out down there.
We had to go get some, too, for ourselves as well. But check it out. This is what the aftermath of it looks like. Let's see how far this goes, fellas. Yeah. So, Dave, you just missed it. We were able to display for the first time this weekend our live onboard camera. This is onboard Bryce Frank, and well, it was a lucky guess. There were 60 options, and the odds were in our favor. We should go to the casino tonight, Dave. He went fastest.
Yeah.
1 out of 60.
Awesome.
We
Put the
picked
camera
the one that
on.
happened
Bryce.
to go fastest. Now, odds are a little bit rigged. Bryce has been pretty good this weekend, but he's not starting on the pole for the main event. So thanks to Bryce for letting us ride along. We're going to have that onboard camera hop around. Probably go to a few more drivers as well.
No, I'm just noticing his left front tire. It seems like there's a bunch of slag on there and stuff. So are tires holding up pretty good? Has anybody said anything at all? Or?
Well, I think you probably got a lot of debris over in that scale line area where they pull on in, so that's picking up a little bit. But also, this is probably his practice setup of tires.
That's right. It might not be the tires.
He doesn't have to.
Right.
You're not really going to see anyone, I think, at least anyone that's really trying to go for a Grand Nats win, keep their race tires on for the practice sessions. They're going to unbolt those and get ready to swap over.
Yeah, and you people at home, if you saw those white pucks on the front of his cart there, those are the weights, and that's what I was talking about. When you hear us say medium, you hear us say light is out next, senior medium, senior light. Well, they have to meet a certain weight. They can be over that weight, but they cannot be under that weight. So drivers that maybe want to run the light class, but then they want to also run the medium and heavy class, they might have to add those weights. Those weights are, we also have rules and safety rules around how those weights have to be bolted to the cart, and that is a rule. And as Dave was pointing out, that tire that looked like it might have had a lot of stuff on it, and Xander said, when they roll off onto the scales, there could be a lot of debris and stuff that they pick up. And at this point, we would think most drivers who are out there for warm-ups have a set of old tires that they put on and saving the tires that they qualified with for the main event. Now, that's another thing that CKNA and a lot of karting organizations do to save money. In the past, people would go to new tires maybe after every heat or every qualifying. They've demanded that when you take your time trial, whatever tire you have on that car, you have to run it for the rest of the weekend. Of course, if it gets damaged or whatever, you bring it to tech and they'll make a decision whether they'll let you change it or not. But those tires used to get marked at one time or branded, so we knew at the end of the day we had the person who had the same tire that they got qualified with. Now we scan them, so electronics have helped us extremely a lot. We used to hand score cards. You know, you'd have 30. Imagine hand scoring a Grand National with over 600. Back in the day, we had scorers sitting up in the tower, 3-4 people scoring. Now we do it with transponders on the cart. There's an electronic scoring system, and that makes it a whole lot easier and able for us to get through an event in a certain amount of time. So things have changed all across the board with karting and motorsports, but for the better. So that's some of the little things that you might see. Anybody who's not aware of what we're doing here, we'll try to keep you posted. Of course, I know a lot of enthusiasts watching us and rooting for their driver that they couldn't be here maybe to cheer them on. So we thank Kart Chaser. That's what's making this possible. Kart Chaser to allow this, and it was CKNA and Dr. Todd Barron Racing said, hey, we want to broadcast all our national events, and we thank them for that support.
Yeah, absolutely, Tony. We have by the last count, we have approximately 635 entries. That's a lot of people here. Out of them 635, we have 6 countries that I'm aware of. We have the United States, Canada, of course, Bermuda, New Zealand, Australia, and France. Wow. So we've got kind of an international contingent here racing. We're very happy with that. Going back to what Tony's talking about, the tires. So the tires have a barcode on them that we scan. That's what he's referring to, so we scan them. And just a message for all the people in the pits right now. You cannot leave your old tires here at Newcastle. Mike Adams does not want them. You can leave your drain oil in the drain oil bin. You can't leave a container. You can drain it into the bin, but you cannot leave your tires. And we go back to what Tony was just talking about. We know whose tires they are. We scan them.
We scan them, right?
We've got a record for the last, I think, 3 years of whose tires they are. So don't even think about leaving them behind.
Yeah, please don't do that. And do we know where the oil dump is?
It is over by Tech. No, it's over here in between the 2 buildings, if I remember right.
Okay.
And I'll verify with Mike later on.
Okay. So this way, people know where they. Do not dump your oil in the grass or in the gravel.
No.
Please do not do that. Or take your bad oil, your old oil home with you.
Bring it home. I'll tell you what, it's the best fire starter I've ever found for wet wood. If your wood is not covered,
Dave's giving you an idea of what you could do with that oil.
Yeah, I'm not saying this. Maybe somebody else told me. But the tires burn really good too. If you want to help you, and they just have a tiny little ring, So, but I didn't say that.
Yeah, you didn't say that.
Put them in your neighbor's garbage can. Surprise them when they come out the next morning to see these tires. Where did these come from?
So we do have an oil dump here. Some of the tracks do provide that, and we appreciate that, because otherwise we got to take our old oil home with us, with our old tires as well. But please do not leave your tires or dump any oil except where designated here at Newcastle Motorsport Park.
Yeah, and I see my Vega banners down there. I've worked really hard at getting them down 4 times so far this weekend. I was out there again at 6:30 this morning, and the wind is picking up dramatically, and they are starting to tear down. So I apologize to everybody back home. I apologize to Vega. I've worked so hard on them things, and they just refuse to cooperate. So.
And that's something I failed to mention. We're talking about sponsors right now. Lawson Speed Shop sponsoring this cadet class. But Vega has been a huge sponsor, and Vega has worked together with CKNA on providing a tire that we know could hold up for a whole 2 days of racing, whatever our program is. Again, to try to make it more economical for a driver to get into the sport. So Vega has what I'll call it their red tire. And that's the only tire that all these drivers, every one of these drivers, 600 and something drivers, they're on the same engine and the same tire.
And that's for United States and Canada. Canada has that Canadian maple leaf on it, red, but it is the same tire, And that's speaking of Gary Lawson, sponsor of this class, Gary Lawson was instrumental in developing this tire.
Yes,
Steve
did a lot of
Vermeer,
testing.
Greg Jasperson, and Gary Lawson went down to Florida a number of years ago and ran thousands and thousands and
Compounds,
thousands of
right.
laps, trying all different compounds till they found what they determined to be perfect compound, and that's what we are using. And it's so popular with Cup Karts that a bunch of other series are using it also. It's very, very popular.
I mean, I recommend any local series, if they have a 206 class, if possible, use the Vega red tire. That way your driver, if they want to come to a CKNA race, no matter where it is held, in Canada or any place in North America, you would have a legal tire at least in your trailer or in your truck or whatever. So again, another way to try to keep the racing economical.
And that's still in a little bit of debate as far as bringing American tires to Canada.
Well, I don't know about that, but there's still Vegas.
But I think it is going to be next year, I think. But double check on that before you bring your tires to Canada, American tires to Canada.
And once again, we'd like to thank the Canadians for supporting this race, Dave.
My God, like 100 Canadian entries. So
wow.
we have every bit of 400 or 500 Canadians walking around the property, and a lot of them are from French-speaking Quebec. And
I've heard them in the pits.
Yes, and they are doing very well with our language. And I'll tell you what, that's difficult. I did all the Canadian races this year, and when I go up there, they welcome me with open arms, and I'm just so thrilled and excited. And I'm so ashamed and embarrassed that I don't speak any French at all. And they put up with me, and we'll eventually make it work. We'll figure out what we're trying to say and whatever.
Well, I've been butchering their names this whole weekend. So
Tony's my
excuse
hero.
me, I feel bad, but I apologize for that. And also, I just want to mention Gerald and Marie, who really run that series, do a great job of the Canadian 206 Cup Kart series up there.
Canadian promoters, Gerald Marie Casey. Tony, that was just speaking, Tony the Tosarillo, is the East Series promoter. And then we've got Brett Spouty from TS Racing, Bushnell, Florida, is a South Series promoter. And I don't know if it's public yet, but he's got next year's schedule out to me and a couple other people anyway. So I'm not going to say anything until I get permission.
You get the other divisions upset. Don't say anything.
Brett Spouty and Gerald Marie. Who am I missing? You. Oh, and then north here is Greg.
Greg.
Yeah. The series owner is also the North promoter. So.
And that's where the series originally started.
Yep.
What we call the North.
Yep. We started, we started in my kart track in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. It was Midwest Karting Association Club Racing, and we piggybacked on the back of one of our Saturday events. And I think if I remember it, we had like 2 classes or something, just minuscule. And it was during lunch of the MKA event, and somehow it's blown into 635 entries this weekend. So.
Yeah, it really caught on, and I said I thank Briggs & Stratton for bringing karting back to where people can get involved. I can get people involved because basically everything's spec. You could set up a kart with an engine. They could buy a used kart when they're first starting out. They don't have to go out and spend big money, but of course it's there if they want to. And the engine, they don't have to be any type of super tuner or whatever. The engine is what it is, and everybody they're going to be racing against has to abide by those rules and has to have that engine. And then we set the weights, and everything is spec that allows people to have a good time. And if they want to move forward, CKNA has provided that next level of competition. This is not for everybody, but if you get to the level where you think, hey, I want to see how good I am, I want to try something different, CKNA provides that on a divisional level, like we were just mentioning. There's divisional races during the year. And then, of course, you come here to the Grand National. We also have other nationals, which is the Winter National. And I'm not sure where it'll be this year, but it's down south. It's down south someplace where the weather is okay. And then we have the Summer and Spring National, which is usually held at Charlotte Motor Speedway. But
absolutely.
It's not official yet, but I'll say that. I'm pretty sure it'll be back there. Charlotte Motor Speedway has a beautiful kart track. I believe between turns 1 and 2, it's down in the.
I think it's 3.
Oh, 3 and 4.
Yeah, 3 and 4.
Okay, 3. That's
Sorry,
right.
Tony,
it is 3 and 4. It is 3 and 4.
But we park on the Roval, so everybody's seen the Roval on TV. You can actually park your car right on that and leave it there. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So there's a beautiful kart track there. Then we have a Summer National, which was the first time we ran it in 2024. And then we come here to the Grand
Summer
National.
Nationals. That was Pittsburgh, if I remember.
That was Pittsburgh.
Okay, Pittsburgh International and Pitt, and they used to call it.
It used to be called Beaver Run.
Beaver Run, yeah. Okay.
It used to be called Beaver Run,
and most people know that. Beaver Run, another fantastic facility. We are so fortunate in all the facilities. I went to 6, maybe 8 new racetracks, new to me. I'd never been to this year, so I'm very fortunate.
You got to see some new places.
Atlanta Motorsports Park, which was a thrill. a couple of Canadian ones. I'm trying to think all the new ones. So anyway, yeah, it's very good. When
Baltimore.
Baltimore Washington International. Yeah, we're on the airport.
We're at the airport
parking lot, which was cool.
BWI, they call it.
I was
United Karting.
I was terrified ahead of time. I thought that was going to be horrible to do a airport parking lot race, but it turned out just fine. So I'm not sure.
A red flag is out. A driver must have went off someplace, and they want to make sure everything's safe because we do have that's the cadets, right?
Yes.
Yeah, cadets.
So we got our fingers crossed.
Kid Karts is out there. That's Kid Karts being brought to you by Max Stork, and the officials have held everybody up. Hopefully there's no major problem there. And they're checking. I see them all up. There is an ambulance rolling, so hopefully it's just a check.
I didn't see when we were talking. I didn't see
okay
situation. Anyway, we've got our fingers crossed. We hope everything is good. I'm pretty sure it is. It usually turns out that way, but we're still concerned. Yeah. So anyway, so Tony was talking about these Briggs motors. Everybody out here has the very same engine manufactured specifically for racing by Briggs & Stratton. Briggs & Stratton is on site. They've got a bunch of swag they're selling and whatever, so you can go talk to them. If you're anywhere in the country, you can fly to Indianapolis International Airport right now. And
get here.
You could get here, yeah. I think we're less than an hour from the airport.
Oh, yeah, less than an hour, I think.
So, yeah, you could still make it today. We're going to be racing all day, so get on out here. Yeah, and this facility, actually, it's free to enter if you stay in the grandstand area. If you want to go in the pits, you got to buy a wristband, of course, insurance wristband, but it's free to just spectate.
Come and watch, or just tune in on Kart Chaser on YouTube.
Well, yeah, what am I saying? Yeah, for only $9.99, and you could get
a full month
for a full month.
Yeah,
and you might as well put it on a recurring charge because it's
you want to see what else is going on in the world of karting. Kart Chaser does a great job. And as I was thanking Briggs & Stratton for bringing people back into the sport of karting, I got to thank Kart Chaser for producing a way that the karters get to see what's been done, the coverage that they get. In the past, we were lucky we had a magazine that maybe carried an article and bragged about that.
Which you would get a month later after the event or something.
Yeah, it was sometimes longer than a month later, and with a few pictures. But now Kart Chaser brought it to the next level, just the way I said Briggs & Stratton brought this racing to the next level for four-cycle drivers. They just do a great job. And the $9.99, and you could get to watch other karting events, other types of karting, and you could make your choice. Where do you want to go? But Briggs & Stratton has provided a place where I recommend a lot of people start. And some people stay. We got the Legends class. I said we got some people in their 70s racing the Legend class. So no problem if you want to stay here for as long as you want. That engine could follow you all the way up the line.
We start at 5 years old and we'd run to indefinitely. But the oldest I know of, I think, is like 74.
That's what I heard.
And like Tony says about Kart Chaser, it's not just this race or this series, CKNA. They are everybody. They are the biggest thing in karting. And,
I mean, like I said, they brought it to another level. They allow us to see other racers, to see other things that are going on, what's maybe happening in the karting world. You'll hear drivers' names, and then sometimes you come to an event such as this, where we're seeing drivers from other types of karting competing here in the 206 racing.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, 6 countries right now. So and there's actually people here, Tony. I talked to people there that they've only raced like one go-kart race before or something. Come here. This might be a pretty big bite of the sandwich to come to the Grand National Championships for your second race ever. Last year there were some people first race ever. And we're not turning you down. Just don't expect a whole lot. And I know there's some people a lot of people. Every year I talk to a lot of people. And they say, I'm really good back home. I'm really good, and I win all the time.
That's good.
I'm not kidding. One kid, a number of years ago, he says, I won the last 14 races in a row. I know we were down in Monticello, Florida. I'll never forget this. And later on, somebody came up and told me, he races a tag against all these flatheads or 206s. Well, of course, and anybody who knows the engines, you know what I'm talking about, 2-stroke versus 4-stroke, 125cc. Anyway,
All right,
So-
right now the camera's going down the grid of the senior lights, and you're seeing these are our top drivers. The top drivers in North America. They have made the show. They're going to go out there. Well, they're going out there for warm-ups or practice, but when the finals reach, we will crown a Grand National champion in this class. I believe that's Emil Osmond right there in the red that he just ducked out of our camera side.
Tony Nielsen on the left on the blue shirt, he owns 61 Cartway. So, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I don't know a lot of these people because they are people that do not race in my area.
Sure. And, yeah, Tony is mostly the east, and like I say, we started in what we'll call the north region now.
We got a couple VLR drivers here. One might be Colin Warren.
I'm guessing this is Colin Warren right
Colin
here because
Warren.
he's got that funky paint job that Xander was talking about yesterday.
Yeah, he uses that pinstriping tape on the helmet.
I still don't know. You think that's pinstriping?
I don't know. I think they were like getting on him.
It is pretty cool. And I don't know who's back to us, but anyway, so that's I'm sure that's Colin Warren,
So VLR, like I said, you're going to hear us calling names like that. VLR stands for Variable Line Racing.
Yep.
But that's their chassis. That's the chassis that's holding their engine, that's getting them around. There's Paulie Massimino.
Yep.
He's been racing really hard this whole weekend, doing a fantastic job out there, and he just unbuckled. That's
Cincinnati kid,
Cincinnati
James
kids,
Overbeck. He just unbuckled his belt there. So oh, there's Caleb down there.
Caleb's down there.
Okay. I'm guessing Caleb's going to do an interview here real quick.
Yeah, let us know, Caleb, if you're going to talk to anybody.
Okay. Nope. He says no.
Okay.
So it sounds like
commercial.
Yep.
You got it.
So you finally want to get behind the wheel, huh?
Yeah, I've been shooting for 3 years and I've never got to drive.
Well, you're going to need some more gear than just your helmet. Why don't you go to shopakr.com. They got their inventory online and they'll ship it the same day if you order before 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
They got shoes?
Yep.
Gloves?
Yep.
Rip protectors?
Got those too.
Can they make me go fast?
No.
Here at Acceleration Kart Racing, we've got everything you need to get on track. What happens next? Well, that's on you. Check us out online at shopakr.com.
Looking for a team with a diverse calendar? How about a team that offers both full support and teaches you and your kid how to do all the work yourself? For us at Drive Your Line Kart Sport, fostering growth on and off the track in a family environment is what we do. Well, that and bringing home some hardware. Contact us today online at dylkartsport.com.
At Precision Performance Karting and Brandon Jartha Racing, developing winners is what we do. We're a complete karting program with support, driver coaching, parts, and arrive and drive packages at all levels. Trackhouse, Motorplex Karting Challenge, club races, the CKNA South Division, the CKNA Majors, and a complete in-house ladder program with the BJR to move from 206 club racing to the highest levels of KA and X30 competition in the U.S. If you're ready to learn from industry veteran John Seglin and multi-time U.S. Pro Kart Series champion Brandon Jarzacrack, head over to ppkartingfl.com and contact us today.
I'm David Serra, 18-time Australian karting champion, and we're launching Kart Class. Kart Class is an advanced digital training program that suits a driver who's just starting out in the sport, all the way to the driver looking to win a national championship. In this program, you're going to be learning about how to find the ideal racing line and what an apex is, braking and throttle markers, wet weather racing lines, and how to overtake other competitors. We target how to brake in the wet weather, and we look on the mental side of kart racing as well with our mental skills coach. At the completion of this program, you'll be lighting up purple sectors in qualifying, know when to defend on the opening laps, and how to pressure your opposition into mistakes. We teach you the tools to be resilient and how to get in the right frame of mind before a race. We look to complete the whole package by getting a strong mindset, a driving style to suit all conditions, strategizing your race, and getting the last 1% from your team. We'll teach you how to win the final lap of a race, driving the wet like Max Verstappen, and creating the perfect bubble for yourself to mentally be in the zone. To find out more, click the link below.
Okay, looks like we're back here with Kart Chaser, Cup Karts North America, CKNA Grand National Championships in Newcastle Motorsports Park in beautiful downtown Newcastle, Indiana. I think they're actually
Some call it Spiceland.
Yeah,
right?
Spiceland. It says on the big water tower behind me, Spiceland. So, yeah. And we're right on I-70, just east of Indianapolis. Yeah, east. Heading towards. So if you see the interstate out there, left to right is the eastbound lane that's going towards Ohio.
Right.
So.
And right now we're looking at the grid where Senior Light is getting ready for their practice session. We're a little behind schedule. We had some kind of problem with the kid karts out there. So as they clear that up and get everything back, we will be, I'm guessing, almost 10 minutes late. We should have been, Senior Light should have been going out at 11. And it looks like it's about 11:08 right now, so we're kind of 8 minutes if they go out. So I'm figuring let's even it out at 10 minutes. We're probably like 10 minutes behind schedule.
And we may be able to catch that up later on in the day. We'll see.
Well, yeah, I mean we don't run our first feature until 12, so I think we'll be fine. There they go. So we're actually close to 9 minutes behind schedule. Close to 9 minutes. So add that to your schedule. And Senior Light is on the track, and then I'd say at about 11, 16, juniors will go out.
So I'm just looking at my Race Hero app, and it is all wonky. It's got Sportsman for some reason. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, you got
okay.
it. Yeah,
It just changed. Okay, so I'm happy. We're back. You can see some of our sponsors out there. All of our feather flags are really big ones. Are EK Kart Chains, of course, which has been with Cup Karts forever since before we were Cup Karts. Briggs and Stratton, of course. Everybody's on a Briggs engine. Vega Tires. Everybody's on Vega Tires. NorAm. Parts City Auto Parts. We're very, very.
Check this out here, Dave, as we get going. Well, you missed it earlier because you were over hiding at a Walmart. Well, we got it here once again, this time with the driver that raced his way through the last chance qualifier. He picked up 18 positions. Jared Clark with the Brandon Jarsicrack Racing Precision Performance Karting Coyote, the BJR PPK number 16. Has our onboard camera here in this session, and we'll ride along with him and get a little bit of an idea of what it's like. He's in the middle of a massive swarm right now. The driver in front there, Wyatt Leslie on the 541 Cosmic. Tony, I was able to show you around a little bit of this racetrack, and Dave Mack here, check it out, enjoy it. There's Emily DeMaster. She just went for a move there on the Roderick Coyote, but Jared with a slick over-under. Check this out, the shark fin and all that. Anyway, I'll pass it back over to you guys as we keep going. But
as I noticed, look at that rough ride. That's probably a lot of people don't realize.
I think the camera's
it's a little bit of vibration. Yeah, we're still working on that. It's basically, actually, I believe we added a little bit of vibration supports, and I think they're a little bit too soft. We need to stiffen the springs up, basically.
And did you notice how close he came to Emily?
Oh, yeah. This is what the racing is all about. And this is a great view. You see what a driver has to go through. Now, you see that little puff of smoke there?
Yeah.
That's because some driver dropped their tire off the track. And right now, since we haven't had rain in a number of days, there's a lot of dust out there. So they'll kick up some dust, and the driver just keeps going here. And you can see now he's trying to get into the draft and suck up on the next cart in front of him. So exactly what starts to happen. And this is a drafting track.
Oh,
it is
very
so
much.
big that it is a drafting track, and if you get out of that draft, it is very hard to catch if there's a lead bunch of carts and they got the draft going and you're not in that draft. It is very hard to catch up with them. So this is where karters will work together.
And just like Tony said, you suck up is a really good description because you literally the air sucks up.
Yeah.
Everybody hears NASCAR drafting, you think, well, it can't pertain to go-karts. You have no idea how much it pertains. Maybe even more than NASCAR, I don't know, but it's very, very much so.
So you can see at the top of your screen there how tight they're running. You look at the bottom of the screen, and that's how it looks to the driver. He can't see all of these people, but he sees that person in front of him. That's for sure. And then when they come around a turn, he starts to see how big that line is. And as long as that driver is in the draft, that's where they want to be. And then they got to decide when are they going to slip out of that draft. You see drivers on the top of the screen looking to the inside, coming out and try to slingshot by whoever they're trying to pass, and they can catch that sometime, that side draft, and pull them up a position. Now, sometimes what could happen, you get on that outside and you don't have enough go, and now the people that you're alongside of get all bunched up, and they're not letting you back in the line. So you could go, you're trying to maybe say you're in third, you're trying to move into second, and if you can't get that draft and pull up in front of that second place driver, then everybody closes the door, as I'll say, and you might end up wherever that draft ends. Is it 4 carts back? You could go from 2nd to 4th in a blink of an eye.
Yeah,
and
just
that's
like
how it
100
works.
feet, couple hundred feet. Yeah, it's just insane, Tony.
And you see them staying in line because that's where they're going to get their best time as they go around the track. Now here, they're not looking for that. Well, they might be looking at what their best time is because they want to make sure they got their setup right. But it has nothing to do with the feature race. They have already been timed. They've already qualified. They've already gone through heat races. They know their starting position for the feature, and that's it for the day. Where they finish in the feature is that's it for the day. There will be no points added for how they did in the heat races. It's not what we call motocross scoring. It's where you finish in this feature. That's for all the marbles, as we say.
Yes.
Minus technical. They got to go through tech. They got to be legal, and that's the big thing here. And as I always say, CKNA says we're not teching these people to see if they're cheating. We're teching them to prove to the rest of the group that these people know what they're doing. They're not cheating. They're driving at their best. So you could get there too because you have the ability. You're running the same motor. You're running the same tires. Yes, now it comes down to chassis, driver, and the tires and all of that stuff. But that's tire pressures, I should say. Everybody's running the same tire.
And some people complain about tech. They don't want to go to tech. The good people want to go to tech.
They want to
because
show
they
that
want to prove to everybody else
Right.
that they were 100% legal. They beat you fair and square, and I respect that.
Right. And just as Dave was mentioning earlier when he talked about somebody who says, oh, I won 14 races in a row. That's great.
Yeah.
And on a local level, that's great. But now you're at that point. This is where you want to look to CKNA to see where is one of their events that you can now race against other people that race the same thing you race, not a different motor, not a different tire, and see how good you are. And I tell anybody that even comes to a race like this, one, if you make the qualifier, you're good. I mean, you made the feature, you're good.
You're a big deal. You are
You're
a really big deal. Yeah.
Second of all, no matter where you finish, you didn't win, but you, I guarantee, learned a lot. You also learned that you need to find out where you can find that extra speed because how come they were so much faster than me? So it has helped other drivers to come to an event like this and not to feel bad that they might have finished 20. If you can finish even in the top 20 at an event like this, you're pretty good.
Yeah, you are. And, you know, if you ever go to, like, dirt track stock car racing, especially World of Outlaws late models or something, they always hide their suspension. They put a curtain up, over, they don't want you to see anything.
Yeah.
Here, I would say 99% of these people they'll help you in any way they can.
Yeah, they help you pretty much. When you get to a level like this, though, I see people with sweatbands around their kick pins. They don't want people to see what their caster and camber is. And some of them even hide their steering connections to the center post because they don't want you to see what level. Are they putting more steering in? Are they taking more Ackerman out? And these are terms I shouldn't be using for people at home. But that's, it's racing, guys.
Yeah.
People, it is racing, and it's racing at its best. Thanks to CKNA and Briggs & Stratton.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a fantastic marriage here. And that's another thing you're talking about, Tony. These are solid rear axles, which means there's no differential, which means both wheels turn at the exact same rotation, turn in synchronized, I guess.
Right.
So if you want to turn a corner, it wants to bind.
Yep.
So the way to get around that, you have to lift one of the tires.
Right.
So they have a term they said you got to drive it like a wheelbarrow, meaning drive it on 3 wheels.
Yeah.
And that's getting in a little deep, but
yeah, but that's all part of the chassis tuning and the driver. Yeah. And you'll see some drivers really doing a lot of body language in there to make that thing work that way. So we just got finished with Senior Light being brought to you by CKT Engines, and now we're up to Junior, I believe, is on the track. Or is that Senior Light? I'm sorry.
And CKT, that's Chicago Karting Technology, has been a sponsor for many, many years. We really appreciate you over there. Precision Performance Karting, of course.
This is Junior. Junior's on the track being brought to you by Long Island Youth Karting. I got to thank Oliver. He is the guy that has brought this to Long Island to get junior kids into the sport of karting. He does a lot for these kids, gets them involved, he sets them up. And then it definitely, I believe one of the Long Island youth karting people, or 2 of them, might be here racing actually with us. Oliver himself couldn't make it. Oliver Raymond is his full name. and he couldn't make it, and because of things, I guess, school at home. There's a lot of stuff going on. But once again, Long Island Youth Karting, we thank them for sponsoring this junior class.
That's kind of a troubled youth organization.
Yeah,
he's trying to get them
he tries to get kids
involved
that
in something. Yep.
They got to get involved in something, and he feels motorsports might be something because they do it by themselves. They don't have to be worried. You're in for 5 minutes. You got to come out, and it's a whole family thing. The whole family could be there because it usually occurs on a weekend, and so on. He has a number of reasons, and he has a couple boys, and they like karting, so that's why Oliver Raymond has provided that and given CKNA a sponsorship because he realized the 206 CKNA class was great for local racing, and he does come to the regionals, and he would have been here, he just couldn't make it. So, but we thank LIYK.
Very much so. We have RLV is another one of the sponsors. We've got, I think, is it Art is here? Art is here, and Miranda, of course.
Yeah, Art. I met him.
Yeah.
Now, I think whatever I did, I called him either Rod, and he said, no, I'm Art.
Yeah.
Because there's
Art
and Rod.
Yeah, there's two brothers anyway, so we appreciate that.
But I haven't seen them in maybe 25, 30 years. So, but I knew he was one of the RLV, and I got to thank them. They brought me out to Santa Maria to do one of their races, and it was a fabulous time. My whole family had a great time, and I thank RLV way back. I don't know how many years ago that was, but they got us out to California to watch one of their big national races out there.
Yeah, and we got Miranda with them. And RLV, by the way, is they also own a company called VLR. VLR is
they're the distributor of VLR
chassis, and RLV is the aftermarket parts and whatever. So
well, RLV provides just about every exhaust
Yeah.
in American karting, I would believe. But definitely CKNA and Briggs & Stratton strictly use the RLV exhaust. So that's another thing, that's a spec item. You cannot put whatever exhaust you want on the, if you want to run with the rules, you have to run the RLV. So every kart here has an RLV exhaust pipe and muffler.
Yep, and we have Target Distributing. That's Joe DeBover over there in Camp Chaos. Loose Screw Racing, LSR. Loose Screw Racing, LSR. Anyway, so, and Stacy Gunn, of course, is always so funny. And Stacy running the show pretty much over there. And
J.D.
Joe
Gunn.
DeBover. J.D. Gunn, Stacy's husband, J.D. Gunn, my favorite name in karting. So thank you very much, Target and Joe DeBover and the gang. Barron Racing Team, Dr. Todd Barron.
We thank him for having this televised.
How about BlackCircles.ca? I just met them, I think, last year up in Canada, and it's really unique. They don't have any store or anything. You buy tires on the internet, and they ship them to wherever you want, your house, your neighborhood garage, or whatever, and then you have them installed there. But BlackCircles.ca.
Oh, it's like Tire Rack. In the United States,
guess.
there's a company, Tire Rack.
Yep. I've heard of Tire Rack, but I didn't know.
You can buy your tires online, and they'll tell you where you can bring them to get them mounted. Or if you buy wheels and tires off them, it comes mounted and balanced, and you got them.
Oh, wow. So anyway, BlackCircles.ca, a fairly new sponsor, and the Canadian, well, they're a national sponsor, international sponsor now. Precision Performance Karting, of course, John Saglem. Yeah. So, John, I can't say enough about you. Thank you for all your support and everything you do. And that's really a Class A team. So eventually, when you see in the background a bunch of big tents, that is racing tents, and what it is
teams.
Yeah, teams. They're all under one tent. They usually have like catered lunch. They've got mechanics walking around,
coaches, everything, and they keep track of everything, and they share information to try to get all their drivers up there. If you look at the upper left-hand corner of your screen right now, you will see names next to the driver's name, and those are sometimes the teams.
Yep.
And sometimes the kart they're on.
Like your first three is Mark Steele, obviously.
Mark Steele Racing,
S-T-E-H-L-E, that's Mark Steele. Yep.
Mark Steele Motorsports. He has a bunch of races here that are under his tent.
Yep.
And some might not be all under the tent, but most of them. And like I said, you'll see this throughout the day. If you see MGM, that's a chassis. You see Coyote, that's a chassis. You see Magic, that's a chassis. You see Gold, that's a chassis. There's the VLR. You see that up there, that's a chassis.
Magic is traditionally a two-stroke chassis, and they're kind of coming here and seeing what they can do this weekend.
I would say a lot of what we call the OTK, the Tony Karts, the Burrell Arts, they might have a four-cycle version, but a lot of people do run their two-cycle chassis. Gold chassis right now that Hudson Brown is running could be used either. He runs it in 2-cycle and he takes that 2-cycle off and puts the 4-cycle on it.
On the same chassis?
On the same chassis.
I didn't realize that. And excuse me, I'm sorry. So, Tony, I got to laugh. Tony's talking about Hudson Brown. I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to hear a lot about Hudson Brown because Hudson Brown is Tony's grandson. So, and he's very, very proud. And Hudson's very successful, of course. So, yeah, you'll hear Tony talk a lot about Hudson Brown. And Snap Your Neck is Tony's son, Chris Cirillo, which owns a company called Snap Your Neck. And
that's the engine builder.
Yep. And, yeah, so.
Or the engine preparer, I would say. Yeah.
So, Chris Cirillo is on site, obviously. Hudson Brown is racing. Hudson Brown is... You'll hear his name. When he's racing, you'll hear his name a lot because he'll be one of the top three.
If I could talk about him.
Well, absolutely, Tony. Be proud. Be loud and proud. So, and you can see we have the biggest, let's see. Let me see if I can phrase this right. So last year when we were here at Castle Motorsports Park, which is probably the premier karting facility in the United States, I asked Mike Adams, the general manager. I said, Mike, what's the most entries you've ever had for a kart race here? He said, this is it right now. And we were at 519 entries last year. This year we just exploded out of that, and we have 635 approximately. I don't have an official count yet, but we're saying about 635.
We know we're over 600.
Yeah, we're definitely over 600. So we just absolutely annihilated the previous record. Right. So, and I never, ever thought I'd say it, but I think we're close to maxing Mike Adams out.
But listen, Mike's a great guy to work with, and he'll make adjustments.
He's already working on it. He's concerned about next year. He's already trying to figure out how to make things bigger. So, yeah. So Mike's a rock star. He's so good to work with, and of course. His father-in-law is Mark. I'm drawing a blank. I'm sorry. Anyway, Estina's dad, Mike's wife's dad, Mark Dismar. Mark Dismar Sr. is
and it was his birthday yesterday.
Hey, it was Mark's
along with
birthday.
my wife, like I said.
Oh yeah, and Mark Dismar Sr. owns a property. He also owns Comet Kart sales, right. Which everybody who's in karting has bought something from Comet.
I got to say, it's got to be one of the original oldest kart shops in America.
And Mark is actually an old IndyCar driver. We have a number of old IndyCar drivers on site. So, it's very popular. But yeah, Mark welcomes us with open arms. Mike just does such a wonderful job of managing the facility. And if you're watching from home and you're considering having a big event or something, I couldn't more highly recommend. Talk to Mike and see what you can work out with him, and Mike will make it work for you, I guarantee it.
So right now we're out, the Masters class is out there, and these are the people that have to be 35 and over. So again, trying to get people to race with their peers. I see Doc Barron's out there, and he's the guy that put up some sponsorship here to have Kart Chaser cover this race. So we thank Doc Barron Racing. He's on a what's the kart he's on? The Magnum?
He is on a Mach 1.
Mach 1.
Mach 1, yeah.
And
that's kind of a new one, too.
Yeah.
You know,
and I think it's a kart out of Germany.
Germany, yep.
So he's pushing that Mach 1 kart, and he's got all the colors matched on his driving suit, on the kart fairings and everything. He looks pretty good out there. And Doc is one of our top racers, and he's come here to defend his regional championships. Yes. But the competition is tough. So, again, we thank all the regional people that have raced with us throughout this season, this 24 season. And for I'll tell you right now, every champion, except for maybe one or two in every region, including Canada, had registered for this race. And I was happy to see that each area is being represented with their best drivers, and we'll see who comes out on top. But and I thank definitely the people in the E-Series for supporting that E-Series last year. They did a great job by supporting us and getting places for the people on the East Coast, a place to race against some great competition.
Yeah, we got to go to a number of new racetracks last year in the East, or this year, I guess, in the E-Series. And once again, there's four regions: the East, the South, the North and Canada. Yeah, in Canada is the Casey's, Marie and Gerald, and Maria's in the building right now. I see her way down at the far end of the building.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we thank them. They do a great job up there. They get a lot of Canadians involved. I know Canada was a big Honda-type engine place up there, and now they're running 206s, so a great deal up there. And I know Gerald and his wife are responsible for getting people into the sport up there, and also supporting the CKNA up there.
Yeah.
All right, if you look at the sheet up there, we got McIntyre at the top. He's turning a good lap time. No relation, though, to Dave.
Not that I'm aware of. I've never even met him. I should.
You should.
Get him in some, and it's not going to be this weekend.
He's with Mark Steele Racing.
Okay.
If you look up at his logo there. Fagan, of course, on the MGM. Paul and April Rice, we thank them for supporting this. And great story about MGM, man. Last year, they had a little tough time here at this Grand National. Yes. And over the winter, Paul got together with some people and started working on it. And we've been seeing a lot of MGMs up there. So they answered the battle here and said, we're gonna be more competitive in 2024. And MGM has done so. So great job for them, and thanks for coming. I see Sean Meyer, he's in this class. Bradford May, there's Todd Barron, he's in it. And of course, Todd Barron, a legend. Even though this is the Masters class, he also runs the Legends class. And along with Ryan Cassidy, who is a legend and a Masters. He's been around karting for many, many years. And it's great to see some of these karters that have raced 30 years ago racing and coming to the CKNA, and that's what, again, CKNA brought. J.D. Gunn's out there in the Masters.
There we go. J.D. Gunn. Yeah. Love that name.
Gives us a good name to call out up here.
We got Dr. Todd Barron talking about Dr. Todd. He is the preeminent gastrointestinal doctor in the United States. He's a teacher, something like that.
Yeah,
he is an instructor. He teaches other doctors how to be the best of the best. We're very fortunate to have Todd Barron. He currently lives in North Carolina, but he's one of mine. He's from Minnesota originally. So I'm very, very proud of Dr. Todd.
He worked at the Mayo Clinic.
Yes, he did. Yes, the Mayo Clinic. Yeah, so Dr. Todd and his brother's here also.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy to have his brother, both of them. So it's Barron Racing Team, BRT. Who else we got? Notable up there, Jamie Bradford, of course.
Insko.
James Insko.
James Insko.
I think he's from, is he Florida?
Florida.
Yeah.
And his son works with us. And,
yeah.
And he's been up to all the Eastern Series, and I have to thank him, Oliver
Insko.
He's been a great help in making the East Series successful.
Yeah, James Insko does. Yeah. And he's very, very good. He's none of the ways not fancy at all. He's got old jeans, with a rip and some grease stains.
He's a typical four-cycle driver that I used to, to race. That's how we were. And
jacket, James Insko, very nice guy. So
all right, another one of our big classes out there now, the senior medium. So a lot of people that run senior light will also transfer up to the senior medium class, add some of that weight onto that chassis, those white things that we pointed out in the video, and meet the weight. Remember, you have to meet the weight. You could be over the weight, but you cannot be under the weight.
The minimum,
That's the minimum.
What Tony's saying, yep. Yeah, and each class has a different minimum, but yeah. And that's why they add those white pucks or those lead weights that Tony was talking about. We require them to paint them white. So if they do fall off, and we really do, there's no way we want it to fall off, but if they accidentally do, you can see it much easier. You have to have your cart number in a magic marker, black, a Sharpie on the weight, so we can figure out whose it was. And there's all kinds of requirements as far as how it's held on and whatever. They're very, very strict, and that got even stricter this year.
Yes. Well, insurance reasons that we don't want drivers to get hurt out there. We put a couple real strict rules now against tires falling, wheels falling off with the tires, of course, but wheels falling off and weights falling off the carts. Those are two things, even though we pre-tech the cart, that it's the driver's responsibility. They might always be popping off wheels, and that's not really a tech item, except when the tire gets scanned, that they have to show up for the rest of the weekend with that same tire and wheel, I guess. I guess they could pop it and put it on a different wheel, but also the weights. They have to be secured, and of course we do check them in pre-tech, but during the day, maybe somebody says, oh, I'm way too heavy, I could take 5 pounds off. It's up to the driver to make sure that is secure. And if a weight falls off, they get heavily penalized.
And rightly so. It's so dangerous to have something flying through the air.
Right.
I see notables out there right now. We have the 119 currently in 11th place, the 119 of Owen Lloyd from Waycross, Georgia, driving the MGM.
Man, he's an Iron Man. He runs all 3 of these classes.
He's a tough one. Right behind him currently is 609 Cameron Reed from New Orleans, Louisiana. Cameron won last night in one of the races, so I was really happy to see that. Number 50, Austin Olds, is our own Megan Olds' son, and Chris. I'm sorry, Megan always gets credit. It's Megan and Chris.
Megan and Chris.
Yeah, I said Chris. I'm sorry, you get the short change here, but all the time. But Owen Lloyd, is fast. Cameron Reed is fast. David Vasquez from California, currently in second place. Now this means nothing on the track right now, but Colin Warren from Florida. Just all kinds of really big names.
Now you see Colin Warren, it says TS Racing because that's the team, but he's on a VLR. Cale Zimmerman's on a VLR. Of course, Caleb Gaffara. I know Chuck Gaffara, so I see C. Gaffara up there, and I remember calling the name Chuck Gaffara all the time because he was a winner in kart racing. Definitely a former champion. Now he's got his son doing it, and his son does more than just karting, does a lot of racing around. He's driving for MGM, and he's been doing a good job for them. And if you want to watch a driver use a lot of body English, watch Caleb when he's out there because he does everything he knows that'll make that kart get up front or whatever he has to do to come through the pack. So interesting driver there. Henry Wheeler, Mark Steele Racing. Ian Quinn, Mark Steele Racing. So you see it, there's teams, there's definitely chassis represented. There's Hudson Brown on the gold chassis, and he's out there practicing. So we got a lot. These are the best of the best in this senior medium in all the classes here today. But senior medium and senior light, I think we had over 100 or something. So we had to narrow it down to the top 60.
Maybe, one of the most exciting classes. And people are changing position real quick. Adam Maxwell up there at the top of your screen right now. A-Max himself, Adam Maxwell, number 141. He's on a Coyote this weekend. So. Who else is notable? Oh, I was going to say I saw Chase Jones earlier. There he is in 23rd spot. Well, he's moving around, but Chase Jones. He just raced this very same racetrack last weekend in the what used to be called the Robopong, and it's some memorial race now. He raced at Ironman. It's a really long. It's like a 4-hour endurance race, and he raced it all by himself. And he was just exhausted. I mean, his fingers are blistered and bloody.
I heard about that.
But and he was 8 laps from the end. He was in, I'm almost sure he was in second place at the time. 8 laps from the end, and his sprocket let loose, or sprocket something to do with the drive. So I feel really bad for Chase Jones. He got out of that cart, pulled it off, and just laid on the ground. He was just completely spent. So he's still hurting a little bit. He claims he's good to race today, but he's hurting a little bit. So anyway, hats off to Chase Jones out of MPG. It stands for My Parents Garage, out of, I think they're based out of Whiteland, Indiana, but all kinds of okay, Scotty. Yeah, and so a bunch of people out there. Cammie Feaster back with us. She hasn't raced with us for a long time, so nice to have Cammie back. She generally doesn't miss the Grands, but she doesn't race any other races with us, so nice to have Cammie on the track. And we had a couple of races last night. I'm just trying to get my schedule here. We had the Briggs out of the box.
Yes, challenge.
Which was, there was. We had a whole bunch of engines, brand new from Briggs, still sealed, and people, it was luck of the draw. You got to, and every box was numbered. You got to get your engine, and you had 20 minutes to build it, put it on your cart, and race it. And then you had to go through tech first, and there was penalties if you had any infractions.